part two of the presidential election of 2024. It is 188 for Trump, 99 for Harris. $38 million votes for Trump, 33 for Harris. Trump leading a 5 million lead vote for himself. Boy, he's doing pretty good. So far, not a lot of blue on the map tonight. There's a lot of red. Oh, what is that? I think Montana and Utah just went for Trump. Oh my goodness. Boy, it looks like Trump is headed right for a victory.
Montana and Utah have been won by President Donald J. Trump. So Montana and Utah, and also Nikki, there's some numbers out of Pennsylvania that I'm looking at right here. Pennsylvania, when we're looking at the map, right, we see shades of blue or shades of purple, shades of red. Well, guess what? Pennsylvania, shades of red right now. Shades of red right now. Let me share with you the numbers that I'm looking at. 1.4 million. 1.4 million for President Trump. But also, let's look at the percentage breakdown. 49.8% to 49.3%. So a slight lead right now. 43% of the votes counted in Pennsylvania. This is the first time that we've seen Pennsylvania. Nikki, you know, being at all the rallies and being here on this day, what is this like for you?
Oh, Oregon is red.
Well, I'll tell you what, guys. I mean, first of all, I love being with
you. Okay, look at this, guys. Oregon is red. Holy mackerel. Well, they're already starting to count their votes. This is the first time in 2 terms that I've actually seen Oregon go a light-colored red for Trump. Arizona going red for Trump. Wisconsin going a little bit red for Trump. Boy, I think, oh my goodness, guys. I think a red tsunami wave is headed our way. Holy mackerel. That's a slap in the face for Harris. Whoosh! Ouch! 198 to 99. I think he's got her outbeat. Cal Lover 4, how's it going, partner? Ran 2017. 40 million for Trump. 35 million, so Trump will lead 5 million votes. Boy, just more states are going red for Trump like nothing else. We got Maine. Maine is red. Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, West Virginia. Or actually, Virginia, they already called that one for Trump already. Well, I go for Trump. Yeah. Georgia still going on their ballot counting, 80%. Kansas, 55%. Which we're looking over there. Wichita is I didn't know that. Wichita was a Democrat-run city. Thank you, Cal Lover. I appreciate that. Well, I hope you guys enjoy the second half of the live stream. I was going to do a video and upload it, but I guess live streams are better, right? Boy, wouldn't it be funny to see Washington and California go complete red? Nice. Thank you, Ran. I appreciate that. Man, if these light-colored red states go red, Trump is going to win it. Yeah, I think he's got her outbeat, but it's still too early to call, but only 72 to win. Go ahead and see if I could get the light worked on here. There we go. Well, it looks pretty good, doesn't it? No, if he gets to 270 first, then there you go. Ooh, swing state like Pennsylvania going red. Man, there's just so many red states on there. I can't even believe it. Shoot, Trump is just pulling away. He's got 40 million, almost 41 million. Harris is at 36. Well, who you guys are going for? I'm going for Trump. What about y'all? Boy, Arizona, man, it's going pretty good. There's counting ballots there in Arizona. Oregon, first time seeing this state go a light colored red for Trump. 71% of the vote in Oregon. Well, look like Colorado goes to Harris. See, she won by 1,100,000 on that one. Ooh, Utah goes to Trump. $41.5 million for Trump, 36.5 for Harris. I hope you guys are having a good evening watching our live broadcast here tonight. Still got a lot of red color states. Boy, there's just hardly any blue on here except Colorado, Illinois, and these little states right here, as you see: Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, and District of Columbia. Yeah, you got that salt. Too big to rig. Yep. Say, if you look at the TV.
So we know that it's 198 to 109 right now. What we're looking at here is that close-up number for Pennsylvania, as you guys see, 48.5% in. And then also, if we could look at possibly North Carolina or Virginia. Let's go with North Carolina first. Right now, what we're seeing in North Carolina, with 68% of the votes counted according to the AP, that 51.9% in the Tar Heel state, leading Harris 47%. So you see that right there. Those numbers are exactly what we have right here on RSBN. So 51.9 to 47. Guys, that is the key swing state of North Carolina. 16.
Who are you voting for or rooting for? Well, I'm rooting for Trump.
The votes counted in Wisconsin. We do know that Wisconsin is leading 50.6% for President Trump to 47.9 now. So looking at North Carolina, we just saw Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and also we're seeing the numbers from Wisconsin. So we're seeing a lead in several key states right now for President Trump. Also in Georgia, we do see also a lead there, 52.2. Bobby, let's talk about Georgia, 52.2 to 47.2 in the Peach State.
And there is a graphic here with other candidates roughly bringing in slightly over 29,000 votes at the moment. You have Jill Stein of the Green Party, Chase Oliver of the Libertarian Party. We'll see how that comes into play with the different options there, because on Georgia's ballot, they had roughly 6 different options at play, and that might come into things here in the final vote, as we have 82% of the votes counted, and President Trump with a relatively the night in the Peach State.
And you're looking right now at Wisconsin, electoral votes 10 in 42.5% of the vote. President Trump in the lead of that swing state as well. There are 7 swing states. You guys have heard all about it here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. The 93 coveted electoral votes. But we're going to throw it in the mix, not only for fun, but for facts, because Virginia has 13 electoral votes right now. Well, it's leaning towards President Trump. He has a slight 1% lead in the Commonwealth of Virginia. I know we're looking at Wisconsin right now, but I'm looking at Virginia as well. 49.7. That's okay. Do we have an electoral map we can just go to at this point and check out Virginia as well? 49.6 for President Trump to 48.7 for Virginia. So we see a lot of great things happening out there in the country when it comes to some of the swing state leads for President Trump.
Absolutely, and still 198 to 109, less than 100 left to get to that coveted 270 title. At least as of right now in the evening, it really seems as if that early vote initiative has significantly helped the Republican Party.
Exactly, and we're seeing some great numbers right now for President Trump. And you know, at the end of the day, people early voted. They voted today, and we're seeing the numbers come in with the Associated Press as we look at all of the country right there on the right side of your screen. A decent amount of red, as you see. Colorado just went to Harris. You see Illinois, New York went to Harris, but you see, you know, a lot of other states going to President Trump. So we're going to be monitoring, of course, all night the key swing states. Wisconsin has not been called. Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, North Carolina, Arizona, and Nevada have not been called. And of course, the wild card, as they say, Virginia right now.
I'm surprised at how long that stayed in a light red direction. Of course, we have more numbers coming in and have to dissect all of it, but President Trump, clearly his campaign saw something there, having visited Salem, Virginia. And maybe it's also this crossover from Governor Glenn Youngkin, a very popular governor, very bipartisan, but coming across with that main core issue of keeping men out of women's sports. It's mostly affected the Commonwealth.
Exactly. So let's get ready to go to Christina Loren, who is live in the election headquarters there as well. You know, there's so many different things going on right now when it comes to the amount of states that we're seeing get called. So we'll be going to that projection room here in a second. But again, President Trump, 198 to Harris, 109. For those of you that are just joining us right now, thank you so much. Matthew Alvarez alongside Bobby McNeely. We'll be going to Christina Loren here in just a second. We have a couple sponsors to thank. We'll get to that right now. Let's go to Victory Coffee. Fellow Patriots, you're ready to fuel your day with a taste that's as bold as your beliefs. You can't do that through Victory Coffee Roasters. You see that website, victorycoffeeroasters.com. That's one way to wake up right there. Great tasting coffee, victorycoffeeroasters.com. And then you switch over to another game, RepublicanRed.com, Republican Red Winery. This is a discount as well if you use the RSBN promo code. So, Bobby, a lot of different variety of wines at Republican Red.
We have the Never Surrender Pinot Noir, of course, a Second Amendment Cabernet. How about the Drain the Swamp Chardonnay, a nice, crisp, refreshing white wine for the good golden era that is hopefully upon us if this night goes in the direction of President Trump.
Exactly. Looking forward to seeing the outcome as we are tracking everything here. Right side broadcasting. Speaking of tracking the numbers, let's go now, if we're ready, to RSBN's Christina Loren, who is live in the room there. You know what it's called? Projection room. The projection room. Let's go to Christina right now.
Hey, thank you guys. I really have been watching this map very closely and doing some math as well, because after all, you don't want to get too cocky. It's still too soon, but it does look very favorable for President Donald J. Trump. Now, there's two states that have flipped just within the last 5 minutes or so from red to this lighter shade of blue. It's New Mexico and Arizona, but remember, these are both border states. So we're going to be watching very closely for what happens, especially in Arizona. Obviously, it's a swing state. The numbers that have come in so far are coming in from Phoenix. So we don't want to put a lot of weight into that flip from red to blue just over the last 5 minutes or so. Now, New Mexico has looked really good. The numbers that are coming in that are starting to push it as it's just outside of Albuquerque. As you can recall, however, President Donald J. Trump just had a massive crowd at his Trump rally in Albuquerque. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens here. 5 electoral votes up for grabs within the state of New Mexico. Meanwhile, it's 11 votes up for grabs in that border state, that all-important state of Arizona. Now, obviously, Arizona is a big state for the Senate race as well. We've been watching, hoping for Kari Lake. Right now, you take a look at this map, Ruben Gallego is still looking favorable at this moment, but it's the same deal. We saw Phoenix had voted. All these rural counties that have had to deal with the border, the wide open border, the crime rates going up, the threat of more tax dollars that we're going to have to delve out in order to sustain this brand new population is very concerning. Ruben Gallego now at 53.0%, Kari Lake at 45%. It's still early, very early within the state of Arizona, where only 48% of the votes have been counted. Now, when you have to compare what's going on with Kari Lake versus Donald Trump, it's still looking much better for Donald J. Trump. We're just going to have to wait and see when it comes to the presidential numbers that have been included, 48%. Take a look at what's happening in Pennsylvania, because you boys just diligently pointed out Pennsylvania is a state that has gone from blue to red. Now we have the major reporting sites, Pittsburgh, Harrisburg, Allentown, and Philadelphia. These are all blue. Most of the numbers have been tallied up at this point. So within the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, we now have 52% of that vote tallied up. However, all those rural counties now are slowly starting to be counted. And so Pennsylvania, with 19 critical electoral votes on the line, could very easily go to Donald J. Trump. North Carolina, 73% of the vote has been counted at this point. I want to zoom in and show you what's happening county by county. Raleigh, you have blue. Charlotte, blue. Greensboro, still blue in this area. But you look at all this red, and I really want to point out what's happening here. On the eastern side of North Carolina, you have more of that blue. But on the western side, this is the area that was hit so hard by Hurricane Helene. People still got out. In fact, they were more motivated than ever to cast their vote for Donald J. Trump in this part of the country, because they saw how he was there for them when Kamala Harris was not. And they didn't have any trouble getting to the ballot box. A lot of them went out of their way to make sure to cast that vote. So that is incredibly inspiring. Right now, we currently have Kamala Harris at 112 and then Donald J. Trump at 198. Again, California carries a lot of weight, 54 electoral votes up for grabs, 12 in Washington State. And in between, you have Oregon with 8 on the line. Idaho typically goes red. That's going to be 4 electoral votes. And then, of course, another swing state where we really don't have any data just yet is Nevada, where we have 6 electoral votes up for grabs. Also watching that Senate race for Sam Brown in this part of the country. We're going to have to wait another hour, possibly another couple hours before we start getting any meaningful data back. But so far, we're looking good. And Alaska is also an interesting state. And I know, Bobby McNeely, you know all about Alaska. We're going to have to wait quite a bit longer in order to get Alaska with 3 electoral votes up for grabs.
As President Trump says, drill, baby, drill, frack, frack, frack. And it'll be nice to drill in ANWR, get that Keystone pipeline back to bring down our energy costs, and once regain energy independence for our great country.
How do you feel that Kamala Harris increased dominance? Well, she only got a little bit. That's still a long way to catching up with Trump and stuff. See, it's like a football game, you know, you go out, you play football. But he's only 72 to the win. I think this country is going to see a big change. Just keep God first, boys and girls. $44.5 million votes for Trump. 294,000 for the Democrat side. Okay, go ahead and put up my TV a little bit.
Arizona. Now, Arizona, obviously, is a farming area. You got the Colorado River that runs through, and so this is big on agriculture. So a lot of these areas, the outlying cities, the small towns that surround Phoenix, are likely to go to Donald J. Trump. We don't have a lot of reporting data coming in just yet from Tucson, Arizona either. Let me just kind of give you an idea of what's happening in the House races because we've got some big meaningful data coming in as well. And again, when you take a look at this map, I do believe that the House is going to be able to keep their majority. We're also looking good in states like North Dakota. That has been decided. That's red. We've got Oklahoma, Texas, and a lot of these key areas. See, even here in West Texas now, we're looking good. That's the Texas Hill Country. It's going to stay red. Now, these are border states. And so it's no surprise to me that people are voting for representatives in their district that are going to be tough on illegal migration. And it's about time. This really tells the story here. We're going to have to wait and see how it pans out across states like Arizona and New Mexico. But look at this in New Mexico. When you talk about the congressional races, you talk about the House, we're already leaning, when you get closer to that border, we're leaning red for the representatives in that state. So overall, things are looking good. Hopefully, we will get that margin that we need in the Senate in order to have control for the Republican Party. And of course, we want that big victory for Donald J. Trump. But these two states that are blue right now, Arizona and New Mexico, I would not be surprised whatsoever to see them both turn red. Minnesota is another statistic that is showing a lot of promise at this hour. You can see where the reporting data has come in so far. Just outside of Minneapolis, the most populous area across Minnesota, this is red that's coming in. And so when you look to the north, when you get up against that Canadian border here, this is all areas that are not reported yet. This is rural America. Once again, I do believe that rural America is going to decide this election, and they're going to do so in favor of Donald J. Trump. 198. We're looking good right now. We don't want to get coffee, as I like to say, but hey, when it comes down to it, this is what you want to see at this point in the evening. There's not a lot right now for us to get too upset about, except for some of those key Senate races like Arizona for Carrie Lake with the
All right. Well, it looks like Donald J. Trump just now hit 45 million votes. Boy, he is staying ahead. We don't know what's going to happen, guys, but I know this is one way revival and one way healing will begin. Let's see, results expected soon in Nevada and Arizona.
Now, Tim Sheehy, of course, is an amazing man. He's a veteran, and that is looking really good for him. He's got 59.5% of it so far. Only 2% have been tabulated at this point. Nonetheless, it's looking good for Tim Sheehy in this early stage of counting votes in the state of Montana.
Okay, so everybody in the chat, guess how many votes Trump would have if he gets up to 270. Everybody take a guess. Let me know in the comments below what his votes, how much he would have at the end? Take a guess.
Again, I mean, even up here, even way to the north of the border, areas that have been impacted by illegal migration. The border is going to change a lot of this blue to red. Now, obviously, Colorado, even with Aurora, Colorado, it's just too hard. Arizona just flipped right back to red. So that's inspiring right there. But in Colorado, in the city of Denver, where you have the most populous, the densest population within Colorado, I mean, unfortunately, President Trump couldn't get it. But you would think, even in Colorado, being so close to the border, that people would just be fed up at this point with Biden and Kamala Harris.
Yeah, Colorado, it is one of my favorite states because it's gorgeous. The scenery there is amazing. Aspen, Telluride, Grand Junction, Denver, the whole place. Beautiful scenery, just unfortunately, leaning to the left again. But hey, you know what? People are having their voice heard tonight, and I think through a free and fair election, it's always going to be great. So let's go to the couple sponsors that we have here. Let's go with Juvent right now. Big pharma, big medicine, and lobbyists that have made their way into places they shouldn't be often lead to the suppression of products like the Juvent Micro Impact platform.
Kind of reminds me of that home improvement episode, guys, where Bud Harper's talking to Tim and he wants to get rid of Al. And he says to Tim, he's like, listen, I want you to go to toe-to-toe with Bob Vila and crush him like a bug. Crush him like a bug. Mark Coffey. Yeah, you like that, don't you? Yeah, crush him like a bug. I could just hear Trump saying that to Harris. I'm going to crush you like a bug. Ooh, look at Arizona. It just goes red. Look at that. Boy, he leads 4,000 on the vote in Arizona. Man, Oregon was red, but they pretty much took that away and said, nah, we're not ready to call that just yet. But look at the states. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Swing state Pennsylvania is 7, 8, 9 states light red for Trump. See, 45 million, close to 46 million. New Mexico now goes red for Trump. Man, I tell you one thing, guys. This could be a night that all of us will remember. All the votes are still being counted. We're still waiting patiently. You know, there are a lot of states for Trump that would get him to 270. See, we look at it together. Arizona is a swing state. It's got 11 electoral college votes. New Mexico has 5. Georgia has 16. North Carolina has 16. And pretty much we're looking at all that right there. And let's see, Pennsylvania is also a swing state. But Trump leads 1 million votes. That would be a 19 electoral votes right there for Trump. Wisconsin has 10 electoral votes. 10 in Minnesota as well. Iowa has 6. Trump now surpassed a 46 million threshold on his votes. Tell you, if you guys like what you're seeing, please subscribe to the channel. New Mexico goes back to blue. So pretty much it's been switching from red to blue almost the last hour. Now Trump has been leading the way throughout most of this evening. He's been doing really good. Excuse me about that. Just had to clear my throat. See, it surprised me if Arizona gets called red, Idaho or Oregon or any of these light red states that Trump leads in, it would be red. Boy, there's going to be a massive spike. I can already feel it. Do you guys feel a massive spike in Trump energy? Yes. I think there's something about ready to go. And go ahead and see what's going on with this. Illinois.
Since Dwight D. Eisenhower in some of those South Side precincts, more traditionally Democrat over the course of really the last half century. But that's really one of the main differences. And I can compare that to Oregon. Oregon is really dominated by Portland's population. And you look at the rest of the state, hunting, agriculture, fishing, a lot of gamesmanship as well. So people who actually appreciate their Second Amendment. And same thing for Illinois. Now, going down to my adopted home state now of the peach state of Georgia, as I was mentioning earlier, that rural area really turning out is actually more significant because Georgia is much more evenly dispersed, even in those rural counties, versus the major urban center of Atlanta and, of course, Cobb, Fulton, DeKalb, Gwinnett, those counties.
And I do want to, there's a possible correction for the state of Illinois. We did just show a graphic there. We just want to make sure that the numbers for Illinois right now has Harris with 70% of the votes in, a win for Harris for Illinois for that 19 electoral votes. That's what we're seeing here on the latest numbers. So just want to correct that just in case anybody is obviously looking at the graphic there, the one that we previously showed. Anyway, back to what we're talking about. So Georgia right now, it's like a 51.3% lead over Harris, 48.1%.
And give or take right now, 150,000 votes, President Trump is ahead with 88% of the votes counted. This would be a significant victory to win bigly and boldly for the state of Georgia. And of course, there you're seeing the prairie state of Illinois, those numbers, Harris significantly winning that. Illinois, once a very Republican state, but really has not gone for a Republican since 1988 when President George H.W. Bush, 41, was elected with really arguably a landslide, over 400 electoral votes in his own regard, coming off of those 8 incredible years of President Ronald Reagan's leadership.
So if you go just slightly north or exactly one state north of Illinois. It is Wisconsin. Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Michigan, that whole northern part right there, obviously on the border of Canada, they are all in the red, not in the sense of a race called or projected yet, but you see Wisconsin, 53.8% in. President Trump, 50% versus 48.5%. He is leading in that swing state. And Bobby, that is 10 electoral votes. Why don't we talk about the numbers here? So we know that the 93, right? 93 key swing states. Then add 23 for the wild card swings, the wild card states of Virginia and Minnesota, because right now he's leading in Minnesota. It keeps going back and forth with Virginia. I mean, this thing is real tight right now when it comes to the numbers. 49.6 is Harris, 48.7 for Trump in Virginia. So that, those numbers coming in, we're going to be watching Virginia and Minnesota closely on top of the 7 swing states.
Well, let's take a hypothetical. Let's say President Trump, playing devil's advocate, loses the Badger state of Wisconsin, but obtains Minnesota. That's an even 93. He's the next president of the United States.
Exactly.
So you have this could actually happen where some surprises take place.
Exactly. So is there a new call right now, guys, as we look and we see President Trump at 204 electoral votes to 112? Looking across the union right now and looking for any states that have popped up, but Montana, so there's the latest numbers, 204 to 112. The key is 270, the path to Washington, D.C., 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. President Trump leading right now.
Yee-hoo!
Here on Right Side Broadcast. Having Ohio and Florida, to your point earlier, Bob, you remember we were talking about the older electoral college in a sense of past election cycles.
Right.
Those were now it's so
And very difficult.
right, and a lot different now. It seems.
Right. And if you look at, and this is the influence of the Trump momentum and President Trump's endorsement and how key it is, because Governor Ron DeSantis was way behind in the primary. President Trump came in and helped defeat a very popular statewide agriculture commissioner in the state of Florida and a former congressman. Ron DeSantis rises to that, but he only beats Andrew Gillum, the socialist mayor of Tallahassee, by 0.04%. His reelection, he wins by over 20% of the vote.
210.
The map, especially people moving from blue areas into the more red states because of COVID mandates and because of what has taken place really in the last 4 years. The map has changed.
The thing that's wild, guys, those of you watching right now, whether you're watching at a election party, whether you're watching with friends and family, whether you're watching by yourself, I want to talk directly to you real quick. In 60 more electoral votes, President Trump wins. Iowa has now just went to Trump. Iowa has just now went to Trump as well. 6 electoral votes for the Hawkeye state. The caucus for Iowa did great there before the primary in New Hampshire, and now look at it, winning presidential election, the projected winner, according to the Associated Press, the state of Iowa. Bobby, I mean, we're at 210 for President Trump. We need 60 electoral votes. We see him winning in Minnesota, not winning, leading currently. He may win these states. But my point is he's leading in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, North Carolina, and Arizona, technically right now on the map. It is in favor of President Trump in all of those states. He only needs 60 electoral votes to be the 47th president of the United States.
A remarkable political comeback potentially. So 60 out of the 93 needed. If you made a bet on Kalshi regarding Iowa, because we saw major news outlets saying Iowa would drop for Kamala Harris, you probably just made some money.
You made some money, but I'll tell you what, under President Trump, we'd be making a lot more money because the gas prices would be down. But that's for another day. We're talking numbers right now. Let's go to Palm Beach, Florida, RSBN's Harrison Fields and Megan Kohler. They're live at the Team Trump watch party. Man, it might be a party tonight in Florida. Let's go out there to Harrison and Megan if they're ready.
We can't hear anything. I think their volumes are down.
Okay, obviously a little bit of audio issues there.
A
And
historic
there they are.
J. Trump. It definitely seems like 45 will be becoming 47 in a matter of hours. Still early. A lot of returns still coming in. Crucial battleground states, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. But let me tell you, they underestimated Donald Trump again. And I think he is proving to the media and to the world that is a bad bet.
That's exactly right. We have less than 100 votes to go for Donald Trump to secure the 270 votes for the Electoral College. Lots of races being called here on the ground tonight. Every time we call a race for Donald Trump, of course, everyone's cheering. And even as the votes are coming in and he's increasing, like in Pennsylvania, for example, everyone's cheering. People are super excited here. More and more people are starting to gather in front of the stage, in front of the TV screens, getting ready for a Trump victory. We're so excited. He has 198 electoral votes. Pennsylvania is in counting, but Trump is up there. Georgia getting ready for Trump. Kansas, Arizona, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa are all leaning Trump. So we are so excited to see what happens next.
Yeah, so the pathway for President Trump was a number of ways. The Sun Belt, North Carolina, Georgia, and Arizona, that's one path. And then you get one of the blue wall states up in the Midwest. Donald Trump is doing something that he did in 2016. He's winning the Sun Belt, but he's also winning the Rust Belt. If you look at turnout in Pennsylvania, I was talking to internal sources that said Pennsylvania is a wrap for Trump. If Trump wins Pennsylvania, it's over. Then you look at Wisconsin. The numbers in Wisconsin are historic for President Trump right now. It's the rural vote, but it's the lack of the urban vote for Kamala Harris. And you ask yourself why. All the exit polls, all the reporters on both sides of the aisle are saying the Black and Hispanic community and the Jewish community are voting for Republicans in ways that they've never seen before. It's a testament to the good work of the Trump campaign trying to court Black voters, Hispanic voters, Jewish voters, and they talked about the issues. Kamala Harris has done nothing for these communities, nothing at all. She sided with the pro-Palestinian groups, which is why you have Jewish Americans voting in record numbers for Republicans. She hasn't done a thing for Black people. She hasn't done a thing for Hispanic people. Donald Trump had a record of success, and they trust him on the issues of the economy, the border, and ending the wars overseas. We're seeing something that's historic right now. And then you look at the Commonwealth of Virginia. Donald Trump is within 30,000 votes in the Commonwealth of Virginia. That doesn't sound like DEFCON 1, 2, 3. The Democrats are like, wow, we missed something big right now.
They really underestimated the enthusiasm that Donald Trump has, which is exactly what happened in 2016. Again, in 2020, I think they're a little more prepared for that. But now, Trump, I want to call it a landslide, but I think it's a monsoon. Is that even bigger than a landslide? There's so many people turning out to vote for President Trump in this election.
It's not a trickle. Some would say it's not even a wave. Some would say if he gets 316 plus, which a lot of projections are saying he may get 316, tsunami, typhoon, whatever you want to call it, it looks really, really good. The outstanding vote, especially in Pennsylvania, isn't for the Democrats. A source was telling me that they just don't have the numbers right now. It's a math game. Math is simple. There's no fooling around, no funny business with the math. They either have the voters out there remaining or they don't. And a lot of people are looking in, zooming in on Pennsylvania, and they're trying to find the votes. Where are they going to get it? And I think the answer is increasingly starting to be clear that they just don't have the votes in Pennsylvania to get it over the finish line for Kamala Harris. And if Trump wins Pennsylvania, he may be here before midnight. Because you have a situation where his advisors are saying, sir, you've won Pennsylvania, you've won North Carolina, you've won Georgia, Arizona's coming out now. He's already in the lead there. Nevada's going to be coming out very soon. It's a wrap. It's a wrap for him if the numbers continue right now. We don't want to get ahead of our skis, but you got CNN saying, I would rather be Donald Trump right now. So very interested to see what Kamala headquarters is feeling right now. I think he shocked the world again.
That's exactly right. And over on the West Coast, a lot of poll stations are starting to close. It's almost 11 p.m. here Eastern time. So we'll see what happens with the West Coast states and Mountain Time states starting to close their polling stations and get their counting and votes in. But we have some updates on the Senate races. It is looking really, really, really good for Bernie Moreno of the Republican Party in Ohio with 79% reporting. He's leading 50.9%. Dave McCormick for Pennsylvania has 49.2% with 50% reporting. Ted Cruz, they were just cheering for Ted Cruz out there, looking to win Texas. Tammy Baldwin from the Democrat Party in Wisconsin has 49.2 and 50% reporting. So that's, we'll keep an eye on that as well. So let's see what happens in the Senate. I really believe the Republicans are about to take the Senate majority.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's tough to see because we don't have all the live numbers. I'm sure the studio will probably fill in what we can't fill in just because we don't have the resources right now. But I think the Senate basically is split. If you look at, let's just call it Ohio, obviously Wisconsin, West Virginia. A little disappointed to see that hung cow did not pull it off in Virginia based off the projections that I'm seeing. But Trump is still in the game in Virginia. Let's talk about Iowa. For the past 72 hours, they've been talking about this Iowa poll. Talking about how if Kamala Harris truly is in the lead in Iowa, then what else are we missing in Wisconsin and other battleground states? The Iowa poll that was released showing Kamala Harris up was a farce. It was a lie. It was a dereliction of duty even to publicize that poll when no other poll was showing Iowa. It reminds me of 2016 when ABC released a poll showing Donald Trump losing to Hillary Clinton by 16 points in Wisconsin. He went on to take the state. So they released this bogus poll in Iowa. The campaign already knew it was bogus. All the people on the ground were saying, Mr. President, this poll is not real. It's not legitimate. This so-called amazing pollster stood by her poll and the state by over 12 points. So it goes to show you that, again, the polling did not add up this time. Trump voters weren't answering the call. They kept their vote private. They voted early. They voted today. And they voted with force. And they did something that the media is going to be scratching their head tomorrow. Wow. We underestimated the Republican Party again. But we also underestimated the capabilities and the frustration of people. You look at the Hispanic community. I'm half Puerto Rican. We were gaslit for the past week about a stupid joke at the Madison Square Garden rally. Puerto Ricans showed up for Trump today. Black people, we've been told all the time how Republicans are so racist. Donald Trump's going to put you back in chains, like Joe Biden said. Black people showed up for Trump today. So you're seeing an historic coalition develop, not to mention the Jewish population, who literally felt like they had a target on their back because of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. They stood up for Trump today. So you're seeing a historic coalition of support in every battleground state that was needed. Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Nevada, Arizona. Minority communities are shifting to the Republican Party in ways that we haven't seen in generations, and they're voting for Donald Trump.
So, Jordan, I really think the Democrats have just taken the minority vote for granted. All those groups you just listed, they basically think, oh, we have it in the bag. The Democrats think they don't have to earn those votes of those people, but the people are waking up and they're realizing, what have you done for our community? Our community is worse off under you versus when we were under President Trump.
Right.
So these people are waking up, they're turning out to vote for President Trump, and there's a lot of black pastors waking up as well and speaking out about Christian values in the church. They're saying, why are we voting for Democrats when they're completely against Christian values?
Yeah. We talked about the underestimating of the American people. They did it again. Never underestimate the frustrations of the American people who have been screaming at the media, screaming at the White House. We have a crisis at our border that they completely ignored for almost 4 years, screaming that prices were way too high. We can't afford gas, groceries, to rent. The Democratic Party said inflation was what? Transitory. It's the best economy in the world. That's supposed to help us. When gas, groceries, and rent are all up 30, 40, 50%, the American people spoke. They've got issues with the wars overseas. They know that Donald Trump was the first president, in my lifetime at least, that didn't start a war. People want that again. When Donald Trump said, my foreign policy is simple. I want people to stop dying, senselessly dying. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets on the phone with Putin and Zelensky Zelensky tomorrow and gets the whole Eastern European war over in a day.
Literally.
We were so hungry for leadership, so hungry for strength back in the White House. We looked at Kamala Harris as weak, but also someone who didn't have legitimacy on the world stage. Because based on the administration's record, how could anyone believe that she would stop the war in Ukraine? That she would somehow help Israel? That she would somehow stand up for Taiwan? Donald Trump has that legitimacy because he brought peace at home and abroad. And they're voting on the issues. The issues today.
Kamala Harris has not shown strong leadership qualities in any essence of what you just described. I mean, even as the borders are, she did not even go down to the border until everyone kept pressuring her to finally do so. Imagine her on the global stage negotiating trade deals with other leaders of other countries when it comes to foreign policy, the commander-in-chief of our military. People are realizing that that's we can't even picture her in that position.
No.
We need real with Donald Trump and people in Democrat-run cities. They're realizing that over time, why do we keep voting for Democrats when they're not giving us any kind of results? People have been in office for way longer than they ever should have been. We need some term limits, by the way. I'm all about term limits, but hey, that's just me. Bernie Moreno is doing amazing in Ohio because Sherrod Brown has been a senator for almost 20 years. And how is he doing?
Right.
People are fed up. They want to get Bernie Moreno in there, so I'm really proud of him. Hasn't been officially projected yet, but looking good for Bernie.
Yeah, looking great for Bernie. I just saw the corner of my eye. Honey in Wisconsin is basically tied 49-49 right now. The edge is going to probably end up going to him.
Map so closely. Thank you so much, Megan and Harrison. They are joining us from West Palm Beach, the viewing party. President Donald J. Trump will hopefully be making a celebratory speech at that venue later on tonight, because when you take a look at what's happening on this electoral college map, it is downright inspiring at this moment. We're talking about 6 out of the 7 swing states now turning in favor for Donald J. Trump, from Georgia to North Carolina. Look at Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, and we know on the West Coast, the polls are closing in 1 minute. Well, actually, it's 9:56. 9:56, 4 minutes away from just about all of the polls closing, and then slowly but surely we're going to start to get these returns. And even in California, Donald J. Trump has a chance, and it's not just for him. He knows that we need a Republican Senate. We need a Republican House of Representatives, and there are races, especially in Orange County, California, where we could have new congressional leaders turning blue seats red in the House of Representatives. Now, I do want to point out, we know that California typically goes blue, same for Oregon, same for Washington. Idaho, almost always a red state. This is a big agricultural area, a lot of rural communities here. Boise, Idaho sometimes goes blue. It has been red before. We're expecting Idaho to be red. In Nevada, where we have 6 electoral votes up for grabs, this is going to be a big one as well. But I do believe when you look at the latest polling data, when you take a look at what's been happening with the registrations, Nevada will likely go to Trump. Now, let's kind of focus in and show you how much of a margin President Trump is leading by now in these key battleground states. We are looking good right now. 51% for Donald J. Trump in the state of Georgia, 48.2% meanwhile. That's what we're seeing in Georgia. Now let me take you into North Carolina. We're looking good for 50.9% versus 48% for Harris. That looks good. He's now at 210. We're looking great there. Over 113 for Kamala Harris. We know she's going to get that 54 more than likely for California, so it's still going to be a very tight election. We take you now into Michigan, show you what's happening there. 51 to 47 in Michigan. We had a feeling the blue collar vote was going to go to Donald Trump in Michigan, and is revealing that at this time. When it comes to how many votes have been counted, 27%. Still going to be a long night here. We're going to have to wait a little bit longer, but it does look more favorable. We take a look now at what's happening in Wisconsin. 59% of the vote has been tallied, and President Donald J. Trump is up in the Badger State, 50.2% to 48.4% here. In the state of Minnesota,
a state that would be a wild surprise for all of us. This is Tim Walz's home state. Go ahead and chat, light it up. Tell us what you think of Walz having him as your potential vice president. We want to hear what you have to say. Minnesota right now, 9% of the vote has been counted, 61% versus 36%. And the rest going to other candidates on the ballot. And of course, we're going to finish off with Arizona. And then I'm going to talk about one of our great sponsors, Birch Gold. First up, though, Arizona. Right now, 50% of the vote has been tallied, 49% going to Donald J. Trump, and 49% they're dead heat right now in Arizona. But again, Phoenix has reported, just outside of Tucson has reported. Look at all this rural territory where crime rates have gone up because of illegal migration. We're looking much better off. Right now, on the map, we have 6 out of the 7 swing states looking favorable for Donald J. Trump. And of course, the 7th is going to be Nevada. And the polls just closed in Nevada just moments ago. And so we are looking good. Now, here's the deal. How it goes in California, Oregon, Washington, Nevada, some of these states that do have later voting, obviously it's the West Coast, they have to tally every single vote. So if you're waiting in line, stay in line. You might be joining us on your phone as you're waiting in line. Stay in line. Make sure that you get that vote counted, because it's not just for Donald J. Trump that we have to concern ourselves with. It is the entire House and the entire Senate. Now, Birch Gold has been a spectacular sponsor for us here at RSBN. And as we meet up here tonight on this final night, when we finally get a decision, it's people like Birch Gold that we can thank. When our founder, Joe Seals, started this 9 years ago, he needed some help. He found great sponsors for us. And so we're looking really good right now on the map. And part of the reason why President Donald J. Trump appreciates what we have to offer at RSBN is because we do not have to hide who we care about so much. And Birch Gold allows us to bring you this coverage. The Biden-Harris regime, they have reduced our purchasing power. Our money doesn't go as far as it used to. In order to keep up with the trend, many of us have had to max out credit cards. Others of us have had to dip into our 401k. Well, you don't have to do that. You can get some diversification in your life and have a sound peace of mind about your finances with Birch Gold. Precious metals has been a safe haven for years and years, since the Roman Empire, as a matter of fact. Now, if we are blessed, as this map is leading us to believe, with the Donald J. Trump presidency, it's still going to take our economy some time to rebound. We talked about the Keystone XL pipeline. If that project goes up and running again, it's still going to take about a year before we start to see it really make a difference in our economy. So you can protect your savings with the help of our friends from Birch Gold, and they will help you. They will educate you. They will get you the resources that you need so that you can make sound financial decisions for your family. And if you act fast, especially tonight before these are gone, you can still get that silver coin that you see featured there on the side of your screen. It's gorgeous. It features President Donald J. Trump with his fist in the air as he defiantly says, "Fight, fight, fight." This is the man who we want to lead our country. This is the man who will stand up to our foreign adversaries, and you can commemorate that moment with this coin. Now, if you're interested, you can ask questions. You don't have to go ahead and buy something right away. They want to help you. They'll help you ask the right questions. Text 989898. Text the word Trump to 989898. Secure your financial future with our friends at Birch Gold Group. And also, another way that you can educate yourself and your children, for that matter, is with the help of Mike Huckabee. And he has helped us all out with the Free Trump book. Now, the Free Trump is one of those things you sign up for, you become part of a club. They continue to update you with valuable resources for your kids that they're not going to get anywhere else. This is an opportunity for you to spend time with your kids reading and talking about politics, talking about our country, what makes it great. The mainstream media has never treated President Donald J. Trump fairly. What our kids are learning about him from the mainstream media is false. So Mike Huckabee's team put together a fantastic gift bundle that includes the Kids Guide to President Trump and the Kids Guide to Courage of the President. Both are excellent resources for young Americans. Our children, They're the ones who are going to serve this great nation. That's why we want so much for Donald J. Trump to win this presidency tonight. 4 more years for Donald J. Trump. But you can educate them on why it's so important so that they make good decisions when they become of age to cast that all-important vote. Plus, if you act now, you can get a commemorative Christmas ornament. Visit freetrumpbook.com. Order yours today. Your children and grandchildren, they deserve to hear the inspiration stories of Donald J. Trump, not just what the media forces on us. Again, you can get yours by visiting freetrumpbook.com. Okay, back to the map, because while I was talking, we had a little bit of action. Not the greatest action, but it's not that big of a shock. We were expecting this. California has gone to Kamala Harris. So now we're at 179 to 214, and the race to 270 goes on. We're still not intimidated, though. Washington State also called for Kamala Harris. Not a surprise there. You think about the city of Seattle. You think about what happened during the riots. This is an area where the Democrat governors have decided to put their hands off when it comes to law and order. In California, Prop 36, we're going to find out what the decision is there before long tonight. That is the law and order. Basically, that's the measure that would keep people from being able to just walk into a store and take $1,000 worth of goods right off the shelf. 70% of the state said that they don't want it. When Kamala Harris was asked about it, she said she wasn't going to chime in. That's the woman who could potentially lead our country. Now, when you take a look at this map, it goes to show you that's not what most Americans want. So things are looking much better, because even when you cast these votes, when you think about what these votes mean for Kamala Harris, it's only brought her up to 179. We've still got Nevada, and this will likely turn red. And again, 6 out of the 7 swing states at this point in the evening are all shaded in red. Now, I'd like to jump in the chat from time to time. I'd like to see what you guys are interested in knowing more about. And somebody said they want to know about Colorado. So here's a look at what's happening in Colorado. This is why it turned red. I mean, you can see it pretty vividly here. Denver is the reason why. You go just to the south, we have cattle country in Colorado Springs area. That area is red. So within the big cities, even in Fort Collins, that is what turned the state blue, or kept it blue, to say, I mean, to just be quite frank, because this is one of those states that typically votes blue, just like some of our other states that are heavily influenced by the populous areas where you get that dense population hub, and it's Denver in Colorado. So let's take a minute and kind of look around a little bit more, see if there's any changes of note here. I'm feeling really good about the fact that you see so much red here in Minnesota. Even at this hour, we continue to tally the votes up there. 12% of the votes now have been counted. 60.6% to Donald J. Trump. So guys, I mean, this is downright inspiring. The fact that 6 out of the 7 swing states are looking favorable for Donald Trump. Now, Virginia, I know you two are getting pretty excited about Virginia. I had a feeling it was going to go blue. Just want to give you an idea where Virginia is right now. 50% Kamala, 48% Donald J. Trump. So it's still relatively tight. But because of its proximity to Washington, D.C., obviously D.C. within Virginia, this is an area that typically goes blue. So Matthew, Bobby, I don't know about you. I know it's still early, but boy, oh boy, we're looking good. For our Donald
Exactly,
J. Trump.
we are. It's 11:07 Eastern time. Thank you so much, Christina Loren there, breaking down all of the electoral map that you saw right there. And we're talking about Virginia. We know that Harris has about a 2% lead over there. Still polls, precincts to be counted and votes to be counted there. Let's look at North Carolina again real quick. It looks like President Trump is leading in North Carolina 50.8% to 48%. So 50.8 to 48 over Harris. That is one of the key swing states. We're looking at 16. That's a huge number. 16 electoral votes, Bobby.
If that's 88% of the votes counted as well. If the Tar Heel states, and same with Peach State, if they drop in the direction of those 32 votes going towards President Trump, it's looking relatively clear that it would be very hard for Kamala Harris to have a pathway to victory if President Trump sweeps the Sun Belt here.
Also, let's talk about Georgia. It looks like there are other areas that people are calling Georgia as a win for President Trump. The Associated Press has not yet, so we are going to wait until we get that confirmed. And then, of course, we'll be glad to say Georgia went to President Trump. So we're going to be waiting here. You see right there, 90% of the votes in, 51%, 51.1 to 48.2. That is looking likely, Bobby.
Georgia on my mind. It's a beautiful thing. Now, let's hope it keeps going in that direction, but we want to bring you fair and accurate results and not just jump the gun too quickly here.
Exactly. So, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Minnesota. What those states have in common right now is that President Trump is leading in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. Right now, the numbers out of Arizona, the Grand Canyon State, President Donald J. Trump has the lead out there on the West Coast with 50% of the votes counted in Arizona as well, as you see those Georgia numbers with President Trump in the lead there. So things are, listen, it's not about worrying about getting too excited about certain things. I mean, the facts are the facts. And right now, President Trump is, as you said, Bobby, what, 56 electoral votes away, right?
Right, correct.
From being the 47th president of the United States. If you look at each of the states, again, guys, Arizona, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia are all leading. President Trump is leading every state that I just mentioned in the union. This is quite interesting and quite wonderful to see, Bob.
And I do believe that many times it doesn't matter ultimately who you select as your running mates. If President Trump is able to win Michigan, Wisconsin, and Minnesota, I believe Senator J.D. Vance and his performance in that debate was truly crucial. And we know that President Trump has an eye for finding Senator J.D. Vance, God willing, the next vice president of the United States, really compliments President Trump so well. And he's shown that with his tough yet gentle nature, really calling out other reporters, saying to certain folks, are you listening to yourself, talking about migrant crime and Trende Aragua taking over the apartment complexes in Aurora, saying, oh, it's just one or two. He said, well, what if you live there? I mean, J.D. Vance goes right to the core of policy. And he's been there. He knows how to do it. His life has been affected from big government policies and how to make something of yourself when you're up against the ropes.
J.D. Vance's interview with fake tapper over at fake news CNN. These are words that President Trump uses, so I'm using those words as well. But did such a great job. This was about a week and a half ago. J.D. Vance just shut it down. Jake was trying to angle with all these questions. And when you go against truth, you're going to look dumb. If you're not on the side of truth, you're going to look stupid.
Well, you and I and classy Christina Loren, of course, all coming from mainstream news outlets. I remember those discussions, those trainings, especially early on in our careers. The idea that it's not right or left or conservative or liberal or what have you on a topic. Is the sky blue? Is it sunny outside? Is it raining? There are just specific truths and natural law that binds us. Well, that's changed for a lot of mainstream outlets in the last few years because when Donald Trump came onto the scene, they just kind of lost their minds in the process. Carrie Lake talked a lot about this. She was the lead anchor for nearly 2 decades out of Fox 10 in Arizona, an outstanding news person herself. And wow, she's like, the whole industry went crazy when he came onto the scene.
Exactly. So she was an anchor at Fox 10 in Phoenix, and then now we should actually check that race. So why don't we do that?
Let's do that. Absolutely.
So there's a lot of races to check out there when it comes to congressional and Senate races. Let's also look at Hung Kao, the race in Virginia for Senate there. We know that Carrie Lake and Hung Kao are Trump-endorsed candidates. Those are big races. So let's see if we can get some numbers on Carrie. We do know, we see right there out of Virginia, President Trump down by a bit of a percentage there. Not too much, of course, 1.7% down, but 89.4% in with the vote count in Virginia. So that is a wild card state that we've been watching. The other wild card state was Minnesota, and we know that President Trump is leading in Minnesota, and I think this is just my guess, not a prediction, but just a guess, that President Trump will win the state of Minnesota. President Trump, get this, has a lead in that state, 60.5% over Harris at 37.4%. Now, when I look at the numbers a little closer, Bobby, 14% of the votes are counted in Minnesota right now, so only 14%. So he does have quite the lead there in Minnesota. We still have a little bit to go.
Some time to go. It's a significant lead at the moment. Again, early count, as we saw in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania tonight, where it seems as if they counted the urban areas first, because there was a strong lead at first for Vice President Harris, but now that has seemed to be much more even and narrowed. Just going back to the Arizona Senate race, Ruben Gallego, a relatively popular Democrat congressman, slightly up right now, 52.5% against Kerry Lake's 45.8%, with 4 of the votes counted. So too soon, a relatively narrow race, and the Green Party candidate there right now, Eduardo Quintana, with 1.7% of the votes, 31,000 roughly of the popular vote in the race.
And you see on the right side of your screen there, the U.S. Senate election right now. So if you look at the state of Virginia or the Commonwealth of Virginia, Timothy Kaine is leading against Hung Cao, the Trump-endorsed candidate, 52.5% to 47.5%. There's 75% of the votes counted there. So Timothy Kaine has 1.8 million, and then Hung Cao has 1.6 million. So not looking too good right there, but we still have about, 15% or so, 25% of the vote yet to be counted in Virginia. So that's a little bit of the Senate races there. We know that it looks like Joe Kent. Let's check out Joe Kent in Washington State. Don't see that specifically on this right here, but we'll be checking that in a bit. How about Vermont? We were interviewing Gerald Malloy quite a bit here at the network. Bernie Sanders, the career politician, won that race there. But let's get back to the presidential race right now. As we know, President Trump in the lead, 214 to 179. You are looking live, West Palm Beach, actually Palm Beach, Florida, right now at the convention center there. RSBN's Harrison Fields and Megan Kohler, Bobby, they're live. The energy in that room must be, guys, those of you watching that have been to rallies, all of that excitement and hope for our country. Not just an emotional high, but just something that says, I much rather have common sense leadership. Or I want to have the Constitution as the law of the land. The basics, right? Well, that energy there is probably all the rallies culminated in one room. And for those of you watching, wherever you're watching right now, we're with you guys. We're seeing these numbers come in. And this is looking good, as you see on the lower part of your screen there. President Trump at 214 to Harris 179. President Trump is at 60 electoral votes exactly. You were saying 56.
There is roughly, according to the AP, he has 214, so 56 electoral votes needed, and he will be reelected as the 47th president of the United States.
Exactly. So you see that number right there, 214 to 179, getting closer. All of these campaign rallies, all of these campaign stops all across the country, and all of the common sense Americans, the everyday Americans, Bobby, showing up with early voting, showing up to the polls today. As of right now, looking toward a victory for President Trump. Not confirmed. We're not projecting that right now. When we get the numbers, I believe there will be a result tonight. Do you believe that too?
I do, because you did have the secretaries of state in Georgia and Michigan who have been under fire during a couple of past cycles with different discrepancies there and late counts, things of that nature, come out this afternoon, early afternoon, and said we will have a result at some point in the evening or the early morning hours, and they're tabulating quickly. And you can see that 90% of the vote in the Peach State. Now, Michigan's still somewhat behind. 31% is in
Whoa.
Wolverine State, but very close. And in the meantime, you may have noticed that the vice president's numbers electorally jumped. Of course, Washington and California going for the vice president.
Breaking news right now, the Tar Heel State, 16 electoral votes. President Donald J. Trump has won the state of North Carolina. This confirmed right now. The AP projecting President Donald J. Trump, as you see the numbers there, right there on your screen, President Trump winning North Carolina. That, again,
Yeehoo!
16 electoral votes. That is, Bobby, the third election cycle that President Trump has won North Carolina.
And they worked hard for that on the ground. A huge congratulations, Chairman Jason Simmons, and an outstanding
Awesome.
group of people who really crisscrossed North Carolina. I was so privileged to, I believe, spend most of my time in North Carolina at those rallies, all the way from Asheville to Asheboro, Greenville, Greensboro, down in Charlotte on a couple of occasions. It's an extraordinary state. It's a beautiful state, and common sense people. They've had a lot of people from New York move there.
North Carolina's been called.
Gosh, there was a beautiful sunset yesterday morning that seemed to be smiling over North Carolina State's beautiful basketball arena to see President Trump start.
Well, guys, I think what we're about ready to see in Georgia is we're ready to see Georgia being called. 54 million and a half for Trump. See, we still have at least 6 states: Arizona, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Minnesota still in the red. Trump is leading by a lot in these swing states. I think Georgia is about ready to go. Trump leads 100,000 against Kamala, so he might win that one. In Pennsylvania, a swing state, he leads 200,000 against Kamala. In Michigan, Trump leads about 100 to, about a long distance, 100,000 on that one. 100,000 in Wisconsin, so that's pretty good. 200,000 in Minnesota. About 4,000 in Arizona. So that one is still close, too close to call on that one. But guys, I could feel it. Trump is going to win this one.
Arizona is at 11, Nevada is at 6. The wild card races would be Virginia and Minnesota. President Trump is not leading in Virginia currently, but that is such a close race right now because it is literally 50.1% for Harris, 48.3% for President Trump, with 76% of the votes counted. So we'll keep our eye on Virginia. But Bobby, as you see there, let's talk about, look at this beautiful thing right here. This is, you're seeing it right there on the map. I'm going to show Bobby the same thing. He's looking at the same thing. Look at this. Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, all leading for President Donald J. Trump.
Right, and then Pennsylvania, the Commonwealth, and the Peach State of Georgia with, 90% in for Georgia, 76% in for Pennsylvania. If those two drop, it would be very difficult for the vice president to overcome that.
Yeah, exactly. So those of you that are watching right now, and you might see other outlets or other places saying that Georgia has gone to President Trump, well, trust us, we can't wait to say the same thing. But the point is, we're waiting with the Associated Press on this one, and totally, when that number comes through, we'll be declaring and projecting President Trump the winner of the Peach State. And you'll be doing that one definitely if that's the case coming up here any second from now, because of course living in Georgia, quite awesome.
Good common sense people. They were not happy with the last 4 years, and I have been a resident myself for nearly 3 years in the beautiful state of Georgia, and they have an opportunity here to literally save the nation.
And one of our production crew here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, you didn't see him, and we won't name him, but literally came in. He had to work on the camera a little bit, and he pointed to the peach sticker that he voted for, I believe, President Trump. So
we say post the peach, and I did that with the wonderful, handsome Harrison Fields back at that Atlanta rally on October 15th. I voted the first day of early voting, and it was a special moment, but we like to post the peach, and you can see that on my personal social media.
Harris has 187, President Trump 230. We are 40 electoral votes away from the 47th President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief being Donald J. Trump. All right, let's go to a couple sponsors here.
Yes, Sticker Mule. You can see these beautiful stickers right here. Great examples of their work, but Right Side Broadcasting, I always double check when I take my laptop out. Is it mine? Because when I'm at the airport, it gets to be pretty busy there, and you see the Right Side Broadcasting stickers, and I know it's mine. But some exciting news for you guys. StickerPack.com. With this election right now in real time, you're watching this, a very exciting election, the most historic in most of our lifetimes. You can sign up using this link at StickerPack.com, whether it's for fun or you want to support President Trump, of course, further and put that on your laptop, or maybe even the car to show your MAGA energy. Whether you want to just spark up some fun conversation, Sticker Mule is your place to go, and they've got you covered. That is StickerPack.com to get your free Trump sticker pack today. And hurry, it's only for a limited time, and who knows how many there are left with this election seemingly closing in on 270.
Exactly. So stickerpack.com. Let's move on to AMAC. The Association of Mature American Citizens is actually the leading conservative voice for Americans 50 and older. So members will receive a whole slew of items, a subscription to the AMAC magazine, exclusive discounts on a wide range of benefits as well, and some free resources. So it's just amac.com for that information as well, as it is that website, as you see, if you go to amac.us/RSBN. Let's go back to some more coverage here as we get ready to see what the swing state results will be here in the country. We're looking at Pennsylvania still. We know that right now there's a video being played in West Palm Beach. If we want to go there, we can. Director, just let me know if you want to go there for that video as we are waiting for the numbers to come in here at the RSBN studios. Of course, you've heard from Christina Loren, because obviously, you know, in rally coverage, of course, we go to those videos, don't we, Bobby?
And that's that fighter video, that boldness of this lion, this great leader, President Donald Trump. He's an extraordinary human being, and that's what I hope to convey in those last few weeks, especially after meeting with him briefly in Aurora, Colorado. He's extraordinarily approachable, and yet he's this American icon, someone who did not need the American presidency, but rather used his business acumen to change the landscape of Washington, D.C. And what I'm most excited about is this second cabinet.
Let's go to West Palm Beach and check out the rest of that video. You know, those political videos that we've seen at all of the different rallies, I remember there's so many of them, and they're all really good, aren't they?
I mean, it really speaks to the character and this man who's engaged the culture. You know, I actually sat in a meeting during my tenure at Turning Point USA with the Duffys and wonderful people, and Sean Duffy, a former congressman. They spoke on the difference between the Mitt Romney Republican Party and the Donald Trump Republican Party. You know the difference? Donald Trump was unafraid to engage the culture. Romney thought he was above it. He thought he was, oh, you know, it's all about the country club meetings. It's all about civil society in his view. No, it's about the American people. It's about these great people who have attended these rallies, regardless of their backgrounds, who care about the future of this country. And President Trump is the leader of really a populist movement that this country needed. Dwight Eisenhower warned us of this. The military-industrial complex, JFK, I believe, lost his life for going up against a deep state. And we've seen this in the modern presidency. We've seen the ones who go along to get along. We've seen the ones who buck the system to make a difference for everyday Americans.
That's why we love an outsider president, an outsider candidate, and that's who Donald Trump is. And that's who Ronald Reagan was. I mean, we've got, you know, it's always good to see people that aren't career politicians. If there are any out there that have done good, then great, but not many have done great things, especially in Washington.
And it is. It's a society where you scratch each other's backs. It doesn't matter R versus D, and I think people have realized that. And one of the most glaring examples of that is James Comey and what he did at the FBI and how scandalous that was. You don't need people like that, dishonest individuals who are watching out for themselves and for specific institutions rather than protecting the American people.
Exactly. So we know that this election isn't right versus left, it's right versus wrong. And we see that right now is winning, and winning by quite a number. So 230 for President Trump, 187 for Harris, 40 electoral votes to go for President Trump to be the projected winner of the White House, of the presidency, when he will become the president-elect Donald J. Trump. And on Truth Social, for those of you that love Truth and love X out there, if you want to follow us, it's at RSBN on Truth Social or at RSB Network on X. Now, the reason why I bring up Truth is last night was the last rally for President Trump, the last campaign rally. And I just posted about that and got a decent amount of people liking it. Then I truthed something this morning. I quoted the truth and I said, today is the day, the first day where President Trump will be called President-elect Donald J. Trump. I just threw it out there at 8 this morning as we are believing and hoping and praying and working hard for it to happen. And as of right now, this may be what happens. I mean, literally, Bobby, we both went into the day today. At least I did. I'll share my story here real quick as we are tracking the numbers. I really didn't know. You know, I know that under a free and fair election, we know that President Trump would win. That's my opinion. But I still, you know, you didn't know what's really going to happen. So that's where I'm at. But now we're seeing the numbers, which we're going to talk about here in just a second. What was your initial thought?
I think very similar. You know, I was hopeful, optimistic, especially watching on the ground with the early vote initiatives. I mean, the Republican Party under Laura Trump and Michael Whatley has done an extraordinary job. Now it's still early in the night. It looks like there will be a Senate majority. We're at 49 right now to 40. And then I still need to break the numbers down, but looks like a net gain right now of at least one, Governor Jim Justice, now the senator-elect from West Virginia. But we have leads of Eric Hovde in Wisconsin. We have leads in Michigan with Mike Rogers and a lead in Pennsylvania with Dave McCormick. And just up to a moment ago, Royce White was actually doing fairly well in Minnesota. He's fallen back a bit against Amy Klobuchar. So we'll see how that continues to develop. But many races, very narrow, very close. Ruben Gallego slightly ahead of Kerry Lake in Arizona as well. So we'll keep developing and watching that. And this legislative agenda crucial for President Trump because we've seen what they do in times when they have the majority, and God forbid they try to impeach Donald Trump simply for winning an election. They might do that. Christina, do you have any updated numbers or breakdowns specifically on the legislative side, that we can really dissect. Perhaps we have the lead in the House thus far. The Senate also a lead, but is there any projection of what the Congress may look like?
Congress right now, if you're talking about the Senate and the House both taking the lead for the Republicans, it looks like it's going to be a unified body backing President Donald J. Trump. Now, we can start to get a little bit more comfortable at this point in the evening when you take a look at this map. You know that North Carolina has just been called for President Donald J. Trump. Georgia, Bobby McNeely's home state, is also looking good. Pennsylvania, when you take a look at what's happening, 19 electoral votes up for grabs, 77% now of the vote has been tallied, and Donald J. Trump, 51% to 47%. So if President Trump takes Pennsylvania, he takes Michigan, which is also looking good for him, 51.5% to 46.8% in Michigan, where 37% of the vote has been tallied. You factor in Wisconsin at this point, 1% for Donald J. Trump versus 47%. So we're talking about some pretty good margins that he's leading by at this stage of the game. Now, Minnesota, which we were watching for much of the night, was actually leaning red. But at this point, now that 47% of the votes have been counted, it's 55% to Kamala Harris, and they're giving 42% to Donald J. Trump. And what you'll notice is a lot of these outlying areas in Minnesota, it's still not over here just yet. They still need to tally up these votes, and we need those returns before we have a final decision. So let's talk a little bit about North Carolina first. I want to take you in a little bit more granularly so that you can see what happened here. Because the big reporting sites, the big cities, Charlotte, Raleigh, even Greensboro, the third largest city within the state of North Carolina, all showing us blue. But it was the rural areas. It's rural America that decided this race for Donald J. Trump. And this is a big winner for Donald J. Trump. I know that he's probably very excited to hear about this. Lara Trump, of course. This is her home state. She's from Wilmington. And so this goes to show that the big cities aren't able to call the shots when everybody shows up to vote. Record early voting turnout, women, Republican women amongst that group showing up in droves. We had more women than men, Republicans voting early. So that goes to show what happen when we all unite as a party. Now you take a look at Ohio, that's solid red as well. We had some questions about that earlier on in the night. Michigan will more than likely go to Donald J. Trump. And we're also looking good. We're still waiting on Nevada for any sort of information where we do have those 6 electoral votes up for grabs. But even here in the state of Nevada, the early voting data shows us that President Donald J. Trump will likely win. Now, you asked about the House and the Senate. Take a look at the House map. This is what we're expecting. This is the leadership that we will have representing us in Washington, D.C. And right now, for the majority that you see here, we're talking about representatives that will more than likely, it's still going to be a rather small margin, it looks like at this point of the game, but we're going to have a Republican House. And that is going to be so important for Donald J. Trump to have that backup. And then when you look at the Senate race, there's still a lot of states where it's undecided. We're not getting really a lot of information about some of these key Senate races. A lot, of course, Senates are incumbent, and they're going to stay there because we have a new senator every 6 years. However, things are looking good in the races that we were watching. A third of the Senate was up for grabs. And as of tonight, we are also looking good towards a red majority. And a big part of the reason why is because Donald J. Trump pulled up that ticket. Now, I'm a little concerned about Kari Lake here. 49% of the votes have been tallied. She's still at 45%, and that is versus Ruben Gallego, 52%. It's not over till it's over. It is not over till it's over, gentlemen. So these are races we're going to continue to watch as the night draws on. But at this point, most polling places have closed. We might still have some people waiting in line in some states like California, even Nevada. Every person in line will get the chance to cast their vote. So it's going to be a little bit longer. I would say another couple hours, maybe 3 hours, if we are to get a decision tonight. But it is looking more and more likely, gentlemen, like that will be the case.
Exactly. And you know what is interesting is that There are 8 states that we're really keeping our eye on. We have Pennsylvania, Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, Nevada, Virginia, and Minnesota. I know that Virginia is going a little bit to the left right now. Could you double check the numbers on what the latest is there?
Sure. Virginia is interesting. As you both know, you see Richmond here. Richmond is where you're going to find the majority of people, and you have Norfolk, Virginia as well. This is where you have your population hubs. And so a lot of people here are going to be voting for Kamala Harris. And then right up against the District of Columbia, we have another area where you have a lot of people who actually live here, and then they commute back and forth into Washington, D.C., also known as the swamp in parts. And so that is why you have that blue really starting to show up. Now, when it comes to the state of Virginia, just to give you some of the details there, we have 50% for Kamala Harris, 47.6% for Donald J. Trump. And it was the northern areas of Virginia that just started coming in. And that's really what kind of changed the game, flipped it back to blue. But it was red most of the night. It really brought up a lot of encouragement. This is a state that going into the next presidential election, if they did a lot of work, the Republican Party really worked hard, they could flip this state red, even with its proximity to Washington, D.C.
Yes, again, that heavy, Christina, thank you for pointing that out, the heavy DC suburbs having a huge influence over the state. But another net gain for the Republicans, we can project along with the AP that Bernie Moreno is the senator-elect from Ohio, a big pickup against Sherrod Brown, who really tried to run with President Trump. And we're now seeing even Eric Hovde with 70% of the vote nearly in Wisconsin. He's in the lead by 0.5%, a very tight race with Tammy Baldwin. We also saw the same strategy from her, being tough on China and being for President Trump's tariffs. So, even some Democrats running with President Trump's message.
Absolutely. And again, I mean, you take a look at the way that the Senate breakdown has occurred here in the state of Wisconsin. And again, you've got Madison, which is a college town to the south here in Wisconsin, and Milwaukee blue. But as you get north toward Green Bay, that is where the Republican turnout has been tremendous. And then you take a look at all these outlying cities and these rural counties, they have made such a difference in this election so far. Now, we're still tallying up the votes across the state of Wisconsin. For the Senate race, we actually, let me tell you how much is done here. We are at 69%. So Eric Hovde just jumped up to 49.8% versus Tammy Baldwin at 48.2%.
A lot of states still too early to call, even though President Trump is leading in these huge swing states, everywhere from Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Georgia, correct?
Absolutely correct. You're right on point. In fact, in 6 out of the 7, he's still holding a strong lead. So that's Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. He won North Carolina and Georgia as well. They're almost done counting the votes in Georgia, where we now have 91% of the votes counted, 51 to 48% in Georgia. So we're looking good in the Peach State. Arizona could be a game changer as well. We have 49.7 to 49.5. So it is razor thin margins at this point in the state of Arizona, with 50% of the votes counted. But you take a look at these numbers. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
Oh, for the great Matthew Alvarez, I'm going to shut my mouth and take a step back and listen to what you have to say. What were you going to ask?
Oh, come on now. That's not how that works here. You know that. Anyway, that's fun. I like it. But the point is, Minnesota, update us on the numbers in Minnesota right now. Like, my point is, with the wild card states of Virginia and Minnesota, we've seen them back and forth. But I'm starting to back off on calling them wild card states if Minnesota and Virginia are not going to go red. I hope they do, but what's the latest there?
Well, Minnesota turned blue not too long ago, and kind of by a rather large margin. I think the reason why is because this area, the suburbs surrounding Minneapolis, of course, that's the big concentration of people. That's where you have your population center here in the state of Minnesota.
wildly went blue. But you know, you take a look to the north, we still have a lot of counties that need to report. Duluth is another area that will likely go red. And so this race isn't quite finished just yet either. That's not decided yet. And when it comes to Minnesota right now, we're at 53.5% versus 44.4%. But of course, you have to factor in Minneapolis, and we'll see what happens. Right now, 51% of the votes have been counted in the state of
Now,
Minnesota.
we can make the call that AP is projecting Virginia is in the column for the vice president.
That's unfortunate, but as we know, the swamp is nearby, and a lot of people who commute back and forth to DC, it is outrageously expensive to live in Washington, DC, even just to stay there, to travel there to our nation's capital is very expensive. So a lot of people live to the south in the suburbs, and so that is probably what pulled the blue there. So we're at 205 now versus 230, but the odds are with us. They're looking really good. And again, I'm very cautiously optimistic. However, we're going to continue on in this night until we have a decision. If we do get one tonight, it is looking more and more likely that we will get a decision in just a few hours.
Okay, so we're laser sharp focused on now the following states. We're laser sharp focused on Pennsylvania, Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, Nevada. That is what, six swing states right there. We know North Carolina, as you said, went to President Trump. So, all right, so we have 6 to go. Let's see what happens. We're 40 electoral votes away. The thing is like you said, we can get a little comfortable, but not too comfortable, because at the end of the day, you never know, right? So we really have to see this come through at 40 electoral votes still to go. And we see that he's been leading, though, in these swing states in red for a while, though, right? Like, we haven't seen PA or Michigan go back and forth too much as of the past hour, correct?
That's absolutely correct. And then Pennsylvania now with 82% of the vote. Then 51% for Donald Trump and 47% for Kamala. I'm feeling really good about that. And so if you add the 19 to the 230, we're talking about he's up to 249 if we get Pennsylvania. And then it's only going to take a couple more. Wisconsin, Michigan, Arizona, Nevada still on the line. His chances are looking great. You factor in Georgia, which is also leaning towards President Donald J. Trump. And you see why I've got a little extra spring in my step, but you're right. It ain't over till it's over, Matthew Alvarez. I completely know.
It ain't over till the fat lady sings. Oh, oh. Yeah.
President Trump wins the 2024 election. What is it going to be like throughout the country tonight in various cities, various towns, rural areas, suburban areas? What about tomorrow? Just a lot of joy in the country. And then those on the left, hopefully it just stays calm. But the point is, you know, we're looking at 40 more electoral votes. Christina Lorette, thank you so much for all of that live reporting there in the projection room, the RSBN projection room.
Absolutely. Let me know when you want some more, and I'll be right here for you.
I hear you. Thank you so much. All right, awesome stuff. I mean, 230 for Donald Trump, 205 for Harris. So we see we're getting closer, but now it's just kind of watching the clock and see what happens. Kalshi.com as well has been really hot tonight because obviously the election. So let me look at the latest numbers there for Kalshi.com. Let's see. Kalshi is, wow, look at that.
94% chance of Donald Trump becoming next president of the United States.
Yes.
Very exciting.
Yeah, 6% for Harris, 94 for President Trump. That's on Kalshi right now, so that's pretty awesome. Director, can you let us know the next direction? All right, so we'll go to Victory Coffee. If you go to victorycoffeeroasters.com, that's the great website for this veteran-owned, and it was actually founded by an Army colonel and his wife who proudly support President Trump. So it's not just any coffee, it's the coffee that President Trump would love, rich, robust, and ready to energize your MAGA morning. So a great product there, right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Always good to see so many patriotic companies that just work with a patriotic network like ours.
And the entrepreneurial spirit of these great groups that said, enough is enough, I'm going to go out there and serve the American people and serve them well. And it's been great to see how many of these new companies have come about, really in the last few years because of the cancel culture.
Exactly. And if we could see maybe West Palm Beach here on the monitor, that'd be great, as we can hopefully see how the Team Trump party is going there in West Palm Beach. Also, we were up in Pennsylvania as well. Nikki Stanzione there at a Team Trump event as well. So always good to see various events going on around the country right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. We're waiting to see which states are projected for President Trump. Okay, so that race is not called. We're just hearing about Georgia right now with the AP, but the Georgia Secretary of State says President Trump has an insurmountable lead right now, but the state has not called it for Georgia at this point. And we will wait until the Associated Press and others make that call. And of course, but right now, President Trump with this sizable lead in the Peach State, some good news for the 45th and soon to become, we see the 47th, possibly the 47th president of the United States. Looking on various pictures here live in West Palm Beach, the place is packed, just having a great time there as they watch the numbers come in, Bobby.
Oh, it's an exciting room, and it's great to see that in West Palm Beach because these people have worked so hard on this campaign with blood, sweat, tears, literally. In the case of President Trump, taking a bullet for democracy and perhaps the stalwart that changed the dynamics of this race. People that have come to politics like Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly, who once covered it or had an interest in it, but then saying, for my family, for the future of this nation, I have to get involved. I have to endorse President Trump.
Exactly. So I believe you're looking at on the screen there, Director, if we can get that on the monitor here, the president leading in Pennsylvania. 51.4% over 47.6% over Harris. So we're looking at 2.9 million votes you see there for President Trump to 2.7. What a swing state to win if President Trump wins this one. That's a big one there, Bobby.
That is gigantic. If looking at this now, if it's the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, the Peach State of Georgia, and of course Nevada, he is the next president. Exactly. So that would put him over 270.
Do we have, Director, do we have the popular vote numbers? Do we have the popular vote numbers anywhere? There they are, popular vote totals. Through the last updated returns, 60.1 million Americans, over 56.1 for Harris. That's the popular vote totals. We know the numbers right now when it comes to the electoral map as well. Possibly we can take a look at that too as we are here just reporting live for you guys as we see the numbers come in on Right Side Broadcasting Network. We know that President Trump at last look was at about 230 electoral votes, so still that 40 to go. And we'll be looking to see what races are called, and of course we'll call them right here. Just a shout out to everybody also here at Right Side in the studio that is working on all of these numbers and seeing everything come to fruition here and all of the graphics that are going on. We're just looking at the team right now as we see at 11:52 p.m. Eastern Time. We're approaching November 6th, Bobby, and by November 6th, I believe we'll know who the next president will be.
As President Trump said, this is Liberation Day. Remember the 5th of November, and what a potentially historic moment. This doesn't happen often where someone loses the presidency and then makes that comeback. This would only be the second time, in fact, in American history.
As you see at the bottom of your screen, I agree with you 100% on that. You see awaiting results from key swing states. So that's exactly what we're doing here at Right Side. That's what you're doing in there at home or wherever you're watching us. Thanks so much for tuning in or live streaming in. I keep saying tuning in. You're not tuning in. You're live streaming in. Let's talk about RepublicanRed.com. RepublicanRed.com, the winery there. So many varieties of wine red.com. You see a few of them right there. And they're a Pinot Noir that's.
It's the Never Surrender. It's a collectible item, really fantastic. And perhaps some of you might have it tonight to enjoy a potential victory. We're not getting ahead of ourselves, but it's looking rather positive. And then, of course, you have the Second Amendment Cabernet, a great way to celebrate our freedoms there. And then the Drain the Swamp Chardonnay, of course, a crisp white to enjoy, making fun of the bureaucratic state. And it really is we the people versus the uniparty.
Exactly, and that's what the fork in the road is that we're facing right now. We finally got to the fork. We've been talking about it. I know I've said it 500 times on this network, but it's true. Like
It's been a journey,
you know.
It's been 4 years of twists and turns and people losing their lives. And that's the thing, it's the preventable crime we've spoken of, whether it's an open border, the fentanyl poisoning, the unnecessary wars. Vladimir Putin would not have invaded Ukraine, period. Wherever you stand on that. And the fact that we send hundreds of millions and sometimes billions over to the Ukrainian government, and then you have natural disasters here, and our FEMA cannot help out people in Western North Carolina. This will all change in a matter of weeks.
Exactly. Director, where are we going next on the next sponsor here? All right, the Trump Combat Knife, PatriotAddictDeals.com, PatriotAddictDeals.com. So many great products there for President Trump and MAGA. If you love MAGA, you love President Trump, PatriotAddictDeals.com is for you. And also RSBN 30 for this great discount there with 30% off. You can get that at PatriotAddictDeals.com. Let's take a look at some live pictures. Hopefully we can go to West Palm, but also it would be great to see the electoral map as well. That's as we track everything. It is still 230 to 205 for President Trump. So we've been watching the numbers since 6 p.m. Eastern time. We've been live the whole time with Christina Loretta, who you've seen in the projection room, and then also Harrison Fields and Megan Kohler, which we'll be going back there. That is quite the party tonight in Florida, especially if President Trump wins this one. We're looking at Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. President Trump's still leading. He's leading in Georgia. He's leading in Arizona. No numbers yet for Nevada, so those numbers are not even in at all right now as we approach the midnight hour here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Bobby, your thoughts at this point?
Well, it's also interesting that one more victory in a Senate seat and the Republicans then have the majority in at least one chamber. And now also a significant lead in the U.S. House, 171 to 129 right now. Of course, 435 seats all up for grabs every 2 years in the House. But things looking rather positive as we move into what will be Wednesday, November 6th, the day after the election.
Oh boy, it would be quite awesome to see the results here tonight or midnight, right in the morning. All right, so we're going to go to way up north from where we are here in Alabama. We're going to go to Pennsylvania, the huge swing state of Pennsylvania right now. So let's go there to Nikki Stanzione, who joins us live from a Trump team watch party. Nikki, take it away.
Hey guys, this is pretty unbelievable what has just happened over the last few minutes. There has been a very obvious shift in the energy. I think people were getting very excited about what was happening, throughout the night and seeing these numbers starting to get really, really good for Pennsylvania as we were starting to initially close the gap. But now over the last few minutes, as we saw the lead that Dave McCormick has been taking, he has been working relentlessly on the campaign trail. Every time President Trump has been here in Pennsylvania at a rally, we've seen Dave McCormick take the stage. He has been fighting hard for this state, and this crowd wants to see him go over the edge and take it home. And of course, every time we hear these Pennsylvania results coming in for President Trump being approximately around 51-47 at this point in the lead against Kamala, I'll tell you what, it's a different feeling. It's a feeling of confidence. It's a different level of optimism. And when we saw Bucks County take it from earlier in the night when we were at about, I think it was about 76% when they first started rolling in for her side. Now it is
absolutely in a tie position at the 49% mark or so. So it's very exciting here in Bucks County. I just can't even believe that we might just be hours, if not less, away from a decisive victory. It could be big. Now the lights just went out. It's getting very exciting in here.
Yeah, it's definitely exciting there, and the fact that that Commonwealth could go to President Trump. And everybody was talking about Pennsylvania, right, Bobby? I mean, everybody was talking about it, and now what we're seeing is a possible win for President Trump. He is leading there right now. In your time there, Nikki, just talking with some of the great people of Pennsylvania, what are they saying? Are they optimistic? Are they nervous?
Very nervous. Everybody's kind of in that holding their breath mode. I see people doing, this like hold on to nothing pose, where they're just kind of waiting to hear. Every time we hear on the television, okay, we have another call to make, everybody gets silent. You can hear a pin drop, and then all of a sudden there's eruptions of cheers. Moments of good news tonight. Of course, a little disappointed when we saw. I'll tell you when the biggest boos came out. The biggest boos came out for Adam Schiff, not surprisingly. The other big boo came out when Virginia got called for Harris. That was a big one. But overall, I've been hearing a lot more cheers than boos tonight, and the optimism, to your question, has been really off the charts, which I love to see.
Well, it's when President Trump spoke up, Nikki, as we were there covering so much of the activity in the Commonwealth ever since June. President Trump saying if he wins Pennsylvania, it's
Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry, you just went out for one. I think, hold on one second. I think you guys just went out for a moment. But I'll tell you, if you were asking me about what President Trump had been saying on the campaign trail regarding the idea of if Pennsylvania gets this, America gets this, and I have to tell you, the path is very, very close. Not only for Pennsylvania, but when we start to see what could be happening in several other swing states, it could happen even before we get to Pennsylvania. I mean, it really could happen. And I'm hearing people saying tonight that if we bring it home here, they know that they will be calling President Trump the 47th president of the United States.
You know what's going to be great is, Nikki, if we get the chance, if President Trump pulls the win for Pennsylvania, we look forward to coming to you live again and seeing you all with the people there in Pennsylvania, just enjoying the moment.
I have the chills just as you say it. I'm starting to get a little bit clapped, as they say. I really have to say, I know that's what everybody's waiting for. They're kind of on the edge, just waiting for that moment. I will say this, we did get an announcement. Somebody came out and said, stand by. If you had any intention of leaving anytime in the next half hour, don't, because we might have some really good news and we want this room full to hear that news together. So I believe that is a very likely possibility and maybe even leaning now toward a probability.
And that's a once in a lifetime experience to watch the energy of any campaign at any level become victorious as you get into the early morning hours. And as I look behind you, Nikki, it seems like quite a mix of different ages and people showcasing that same energy that President Trump did just 24 hours ago to finish his last rally in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Absolutely. It's funny because I would say this crowd is very reflective of what I saw at the polls today, as I talked to you about earlier, seeing a real mix of demographics, seeing a lot of men, but also a lot of women, seeing a lot of seniors, also seeing a lot of children, and certainly seeing a lot of first-time voters. I'm looking around, of course, over by the bar, I'm seeing a lot of those college-age kids who might have just voted for their very first time in this election. And I have been walking around talking to some families, and even the kids, like we talk about at the rallies, and like you just mentioned, Bobby, the kids get so excited and so invigorated because this is a moment that they'll remember to talk about one day to their own children, that they were a part of history. And actually on the lines today, I spoke to two young little girls and I asked them why they were excited about being here. And they said, well, their teachers wanted them to see what the voting process was like. and they wanted to be a part of that experience so they could share it with their classrooms. But they also said they want America to be a free country and for people to just be who they are and be free. And it was really sweet. And it just shows you how freedom matters to us at every age. And it's even something that the younger children of this as a beautiful privilege that we have living in this country that none of us want taken away from us.
Perfectly said, Nikki. And it's interesting as we, over the years, how about over the past 9 years, interviewed so many people outside of all of the President Trump's rallies and events and speeches. And I know all three of us and any other hosts at Right Side, we've interviewed everybody, and it's been great. And the people are just really excited right now. Nikki Stanzione, this is quite the night. It's 11:04 Central, 12:04 where you are in the morning. So happy November 6th. Hopefully it's going to be a very happy November 6th for all of us here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. So Nikki, I just want to share with you the latest numbers that we have for Pennsylvania out of the Associated Press. So 83% of the vote is counted. 83%. So President Trump has 51.4% of the vote. Harris has 47.7. So the numbers, 3 million for President Trump, 2.8 for Harris. So 84% of the votes counted. So we are seeing we're seeing some history in the making right now. Nikki Stanzione, thank you so much for that live report. We're going to go back out to you, guaranteed, especially for a win for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. All right, so that was Nikki Stanzione there live, and of course, awaiting the results from the key swing states. I mean, man, you know, I'm gonna get one of those Red Bulls and drink up a little bit of energy kick because I'll tell you, we're doing well. But man, this has been 6 straight hours, and we see President Trump doing so well. It's very refreshing.
And this is exactly what took place 8 years ago. It was Pennsylvania that really drove it home for him, and then that blue wall came tumbling down in Michigan and Wisconsin. So a similar narrative, and again, really at the end of this, we'll be able to see, was it the Gen Z vote that really helped get him over the edge? And then also in North Carolina and potentially the Peach State, was it the African-American vote, especially men, who put it over the top for President Trump? Because as of now, although these are relatively high numbers, it really is breaking down into a turnout election. So it's interesting because this was always the theory of those who initially ran against President Trump. He has his base, but he cannot win re-election. You've heard that from some Republican voices, even those who were running against him in the primary, and clearly it's looking like they were wrong about that.
Exactly. I mean, this is just wild to see this historic election unfolding before our eyes right now. This is what we've been seeing at every rally. The amount of support for President Trump that we've been talking about is possibly coming to a close here in the sense of a win. How about you got to be a good closer? And that's what's happening right now. I mean, this is legit. This is Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, and Georgia are the swing states that have not been called yet, and they are all leaning red right now. It's quite an amazing moment in time, especially when we see the results of the swing states. And Bobby, again, 40 electoral votes to go.
And that's what he can close this right now. If it's going the direction of the Commonwealth, of the Peach State, and then Nevada, when we get those numbers, that could be game, set, and match. And then with the rest, President Trump would not even need those potentially. So we'll see how this all presents itself as we hope to have an answer relatively soon. But it's really a pretty beautiful map, and perhaps could be a larger win for him than he had 8 years ago against Hillary Clinton.
I'm not getting ahead of myself, but indirectly I am. I want Thanksgiving and Christmas this year and the New Year to be just such a great time. I want to be able to sit back and watch a football game and not have the worries or thoughts of politics on my mind, right?
Right.
You just want to, be like, hey, our country is back. We have a president that is going to do great things with a cabinet that is America first, and just to kick back and enjoy life again in America. And I hope that same for as many countries around the world as possible. You know, so many people in the free world would love to have an opportunity even to have this situation. Unfortunately, it went the wrong way in Brazil. It went the wrong way in Venezuela and in other countries around the world. But for some reason, we're blessed here in this nation to be here as Judeo-Christian background, you know, of a founding there. And so it's just great to be a part of it. And it's great to be here live with you guys. If you'd like to follow any of us on Truth Social, it's at RSBN for Truth Social. I'm at Matthew Alvarez, and Bobby is.
I am at Robert B. McNeely on Truth Social, at Robert McNeely TV over on Instagram.
All right, so it is 12:09 Eastern time right now, as it is November 6th. The election was yesterday. Here we are today at 2:30 to 2:10, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona. We are waiting here with you guys. I'm also trying to line up an interview with Christopher Macchio, the opera singer. He's in West Palm Beach. Maybe actually he can go to Harrison and Meghan and maybe interview with them live. So I'll just coordinate that here on the side. But the point is, he will be singing tonight in West Palm Beach. We're not getting ahead of ourselves. I'm just saying, it'd be great to talk with him because remember in Butler, Pennsylvania, and in Madison Square Garden, you saw that Frank Sinatra song at the end, New York, New York. I mean, we're getting slowly closer, but still way too close to call. So Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Georgia, and Arizona, Bobby. So we're looking at it. We'll see what happens.
And Christopher's such a great opera star in New York and internationally, and really quite the gentleman. He spent a few moments with us prior to the pre-show in Madison Square Garden, and that was one of the most special rallies, a homecoming rally. You know, this was the most famous auditorium, famous stadium in the world. Billy Joel performing there 150 times, and of course, Michael Jordan in the 1990s, my Chicago Bulls, ran wild on Patrick Ewing and the Knicks. Sorry for any New York fans out there, but I'd like to share that for all you sports fans. But that was really a wonderful homecoming for President Trump in the Big Apple.
It was awesome at MSG, of all places, the most famous arena in the world, housed the most famous person in the world.
Fantastic. And breaking news, RSBN is proud to project that the peach state of Georgia will be going its 16 electoral votes for President Donald Trump. Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger saying that his lead is insurmountable and Vice President Kamala Harris will not surpass President Donald Trump. Georgia is on my mind, and that was a special moment for me personally. My adopted home state is really on the verge now of saving America. 16 electoral votes, Georgia going for President Trump.
All I can do is smile right now as we see 16 electoral votes. So that is a total of 2 swing states for President Donald J. Trump. North Carolina, Georgia for Trump. What will happen in Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Arizona? We will see shortly right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Bobby, your thoughts again on Georgia?
A special moment. It's good people. Many of us have moved there for a better late life, including myself. And you will find the most hospitable, lovely, common sense individuals. And we got it done for the American people. And I knew Georgia would. I knew the Peach State would hit a home run for America, and they did so tonight. Very exciting.
Well, we want to see some more home runs and some more grand slams and singles, doubles, triples, whatever. We'll bring home the...
Take me out to the ball game.
All right. So let's go also to freetrumpbook.com, freetrumpbook.com. Mike Huckabee and his team there at Free Trump Book writing some great books for the youth of America. You see that one there. That's the Kid's Guide to President Trump. There's also the Kid's Guide to American Greatness as well, freetrumpbook.com. The next one is Big to the obvious. They shouldn't often bring to the So many, including Trump, not for this out. Really, you go to and use RSPN code for quite a bit there. Sponsored Fantastic Network. That Georgia went to President Trump. We know that Pennsylvania, we're waiting to see the numbers. We're waiting to see the numbers in Arizona, Nevada, Michigan, Wisconsin. Well, here we go. What's going to happen? It's 12:14 in the morning. We're on it. And we're going to see a possible victory for the 47th President of the United States. As you see there, RSBN calls Georgia for President Trump.
That's a special Chiron to look upon, joining all of you now into November 6th on the East Coast. And President Trump said this was going to be Liberation Day. Things were looking good. And right now, in all categories, it's not set in stone, 246 to Harris's 210 in the electoral count. But this is clearly the get out the vote effort on the part of the Republican Party. The apparatus was truly once in a lifetime.
Exactly. I remember interviewing Joan Reynolds from Alabama, who worked with people that were Trump delegates out of Alabama. They were actually doing a GOTV and get out the vote all the way over to Georgia and Michigan just the other day when Liz Willis was there live. And so you see that Americans helping Americans. I mean, crossing state lines and just saying, hey, you know, we're here from Alabama. Who are you voting for? And just, it's the basic word of mouth sometimes, you know, when you make that nice impression on somebody and, you know, they're thinking if they're on the fence a little bit, but what we see is a win in Georgia. So let's look at Minnesota real quick too. I know that looks like it's going to go the other way, but let's just double check some of the numbers there. Minnesota right now is 51.7% for Harris, 46.2% for Trump in Minnesota. That's 57% of the votes counted there, so that may go the other way. Let's look at Pennsylvania. Latest numbers: 3,093,600 votes for President Trump. 2,921,948 for Harris. So that's a small lead, but a lead that has about 86% of the votes counted there. And then if we look at Michigan and Wisconsin, looks like Michigan is in the lead. Pretty sizable lead for President Trump. 52.3% to 46%. And then Wisconsin about the same, 51.2% to 47.3%. I mean, it is looking good right now, Bobby, at 12:16 in the morning.
And again, if you have, let's just say Michigan and Wisconsin at this 25, he becomes president with 271.
Exactly. So we are about, okay, so what is the number? So we're at 230 still. Well,
Well,
now we're at
46 with our projections.
Yes, so 246 right now. So we're getting close here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. All right, so so we see that Georgia called for President Trump. We'll be possibly going back there live soon to Palm Beach, Florida, where Harrison Fields and Megan Kohler are standing by. And, you know, that is where the Team Trump watch party is. Great time there, I'm sure, right now in Pennsylvania as well, with where Nikki Stanzione is. So we'll be heading out there soon as we watch the numbers come in right here on Right Side. All right, we are lining up some various reports here as well, as we know that President Trump has 246 electoral votes to Harris's 210 at this point. So let's just double check a couple things on Truth Social as well when it comes to President Trump. The last thing he posted about was California saying 1 more hour until the election lines, the polls would close. That was 2 hours ago. So President Trump, of course, having a great time in Palm Beach, Florida. Mar-a-Lago is not too far from the convention center there. So looking forward to hearing possibly from President Trump tonight as the president-elect. We'll see. We still have those key swing states to call yet, and we'll wait for the AP. And also, as we did for Georgia, that's a huge call and a great call right there for Right Side Broadcasting Network. And we'll see what happens with the other 5 states, swing states that remain in this election. Actually, 6, right, with Nevada.
Right. And Matthew, I'm curious on your thoughts with this. This is seeming to be a turnout election more than anything else. Although we're not seeing necessarily, there have been early voting records broken. Ultimately, will we reach that 100 million mark? I'm not quite sure yet with all the absentee coming in and overseas balloting. But this is very interesting. We still seem to be a very divided country, at least speaking electorally.
Exactly. I mean, that's what's interesting because we've seen the numbers. We see the popular vote. If we can possibly take a look at that number, we see that there are still people that are voting, of course, for the other side. But at the end of the day, the majority rules when it comes to the election. When it comes to the electoral votes, that's how it's been. That's the way it is. So we know that there is a majority in this country that is for President Trump. So we're going to be going to Harrison Fields and Megan Kohler here shortly, as we're also trying to line up Christopher Macchio, the opera singer, who's going to be possibly performing tonight under a Trump win with Harrison and Megan. So let's go there to Florida right now.
Welcome back to the Palm Beach Convention Center. Megan Kohler and Harrison Fields were here on the ground at the Trump watch party. The vibes are high. It's electric in this room. Everyone's so excited. Every single state that gets called President Trump, everyone's cheering here. We're super excited, and I am seeing this path to victory for President Trump.
Everyone here is seeing that path. You know who's not seeing the path? It's Kamala Harris headquarters in Washington, D.C. A lot of advisors telling a lot of reporters they just don't see it. The door is closing. The path has become more and more narrow. You look at Macomb County, you look at Wayne County, you look at the numbers aren't there. And I think the Republicans showed out too much that the numbers can't just magically appear either. I think the math is just on Donald Trump's favor, and nothing really can be done about that at this point. A lot of people are expecting that he will be the 47th president of the United States in a matter of hours. I think there could be a resounding call that Donald Trump has been reelected president of the United States, only the second United States president to do that. The first, obviously, being Grover Cleveland in the 1800s. A historic night here in West Palm Beach. Absolutely amazing to witness. Against all odds, it seems like the Trump campaign has prevailed.
Right, so Donald Trump we're predicting it, will become the second president to serve 2 non-consecutive terms. So exciting.
Yeah.
This is historic. This entire campaign has been something like we've never, ever seen before, and we're never going to see again. We want to thank each one of you for being a part of it. We feel blessed to be a part of it here, and what an amazing night. I don't even think I'm going to sleep tonight. I'm too excited.
What is sleep?
I'm too excited. I can't even think about sleeping. It's past midnight.
Yeah.
Usually I'm very tired by now, but there's no way. I'm too excited. I'm too jazzed up.
Yeah.
President Trump has 230 electoral votes,
Yeah.
40 to go.
40 to go.
So many states in play right now. He's projected to win when it's not 100% in yet. But Michigan, he's leading by 194,000 votes with 47% of the vote is in. Pennsylvania, 19 electoral votes. Trump is leading with 84% of the vote in, and that's 170,000 votes in the lead for President Trump. Huge. Georgia, 16 electoral votes. Trump leading with 93% reporting in, 120,000 lead. Georgia's huge.
Yeah.
Basically, RSBN's calling it already.
Yeah, I mean, RSBN is basically here, and they're basically called it, rejecting that Donald Trump has been reelected. You look at Georgia, you look at North Carolina, you look at Pennsylvania, you look at Wisconsin. The numbers aren't there for her. There's no real path for her to win, and we haven't even talked about Nevada or Arizona, where Donald Trump is in the lead as well. And you talk about the early vote totals and the voter registration totals in those states before Election Day. It's very hard to imagine a path for Kamala Harris. Again, we have another situation where the Democratic cities of Milwaukee, they don't know how to run elections. Here we are, another election. Milwaukee County is completely butchered this election again. Meanwhile, in the state we're standing in right now, the third largest state, we got a full-on projection. Over 10 million votes were reported out less than 2 hours after the polls close. And here in Milwaukee, they can't even get the polls in a city. It's absolutely incredible to see how Democrats do not know how to run elections. It's pathetic. Every state needs to look at Florida, take the statutes, take the laws, take the model, and implement it in every single state in the country. We would know the election results 2 hours after every single presidential race. You talk about the Senate. The Senate has slipped. Republicans are in control of the Senate. Goodbye, Chuck Schumer. So you talk about Donald Trump winning. Still got to see what's happening in the House. I think the House may hold on to. Talk about judicial appointments. God forbid there's something wild. Donald Trump gets another bite at the apple with United States Supreme Court. You talk about the filibuster. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz already talked about it. If they were elected president and vice president, and the Senate somehow stayed in Democrat control, they would have gotten rid of the filibuster, which would have meant stacking the Supreme Court, which would have meant assault weapons ban, which would have meant a bunch of other crazy radical policies because they would have taken away that massive procedure of the filibuster. That failed today. The American people realized that the Democratic Party is way too radical to trust them with 4 more years and for control of the Senate. Tonight is a historic moment, and everyone here at the crowd, they're not too surprised. They live it every single day. The people where we're standing on this riser, you look left and you look right, they're the ones with the long faces. They're the ones that are actually surprised because they've been lying to you every single day about Donald Trump and JD Vance. And you know who didn't buy it? The American people didn't buy it. And now, it's 2016 all over again. The world is shocked, the mainstream media is shocked, and the American people will be better off starting January 20th.
Sweet, sweet victory is on its way. That's exactly right. As you look around in the media risers, there's long faces. People are upset. People are confused. They're very confused. They can't believe it. But we knew because we're on the ground with these people. The American people love Donald Trump. We saw it. We saw the lines for miles, cars for miles, the flags hanging out.
You leave D.C. and New York and L.A., and you realize that Republicans do exist, and they vote. And then you talk to independents who are like, listen, say what you want about the economy. I don't feel it. Say what you want about the border. I feel it. And I've been talking to some people on the campaign. There's a sense around the room that Donald Trump will potentially be addressing this room in a matter of minutes, within this hour. His team is in his ear, showing him the very, very clear path for victory. And I to claim victory in a matter of minutes because the numbers are on in his favor. The math is the math. And they have realized that they beat all odds. And they have secured victory tonight.
This thing is too big to rig. That's so true. I'm so proud of Bernie Moreno of Ohio. I'm from the great state of Ohio. You know, I've been talking about it this whole campaign season. So thank you to everyone that got out and voted for Bernie Moreno to get Sherrod Brown out. He's been in office for almost 20 years. And what has he done for the state of Ohio? It was time for something new. And as you mentioned about the Senate before, talk about a balance of power and democracy. The Democrats want to act like they're the champions of democracy when they wanted to get rid of the filibuster and start passing all their radical bills without needing the 60 vote threshold. That's the opposite of being champions for democracy.
Right.
So they'll say something and then in their actions they do the opposite. So very, very proud of the Republicans for grabbing those Senate seats. We have Rick Scott in Florida, Deb Fischer, Bernie Moreno, Ted Cruz, Eric Hovde is on his way. 80%, 81% reporting for Eric Hovde in Wisconsin. Dave McCormick, 49.3%. Michigan, Mike Rogers, 52%. But Mike Rogers is leading. So we are doing great across the board. Republicans showed out for this election. They voted up and down the ballot. They researched if there were issues on the ballot. Of course, they voted for Donald J. Trump.
Yeah.
And I'm just too excited. It's
But see,
amazing.
there's going to be another conversation about polling, how wrong they got it. They released this bogus Iowa poll that we talked about recently. And then the Bernie Moreno poll, it wasn't until I think yesterday, the day before, that they said now he's above the RCP average. He won by over 4 points. outside the margin of error. So it goes to show you that polling again got it wrong.
Right.
You look at states like Florida. I was looking at Donald Trump was going to only win the state by 5. He doubled it and then some. So I think the pollsters are going to end up looking at this again and saying, what did we get wrong? And the reality is, Republican voters, especially Republican white males, do not answer pollsters. So I don't know how they correct that, because they're getting a whole bunch of people that aren't in the Republican Party. When they release these polls, many question if they're suppression polls. What is the intention behind a lot of these polls that show Donald Trump and Republicans not winning? Goes to, you kind of ask yourselves, why are they doing these things? But the American people kept their head down. They stayed focused on the issues that are impacting their individual situations, and they voted accordingly. They didn't listen to these narratives. You see what happened, an historic level of support from the Black community and from the Hispanic community for Donald Trump.
Right.
They didn't listen to CNN. They didn't listen to MSNBC. They didn't listen to ABC, who told them that Donald Trump is basically Hitler, who's going to put you back in chains. He's going to be a disaster for your family. They said, no, we lived Donald Trump for 4 years. And you're telling me that somehow he's going to be this horrible tyrant? He's going to be a threat to democracy when democracy was still intact for 4 years when he was president? No one believed the narratives.
Right.
They went in, they cast their ballot, they didn't talk to pollsters, they handled their business because Kamala Harris failed them. 3.5, almost 4 years. She has failed them as vice president. She didn't deserve 4 more years, and the entire American people said, you're not getting a promotion if we have something to say about it.
So true. And if you pay attention to t-shirts, yard signs, social media enthusiasm, and of course the cookie poll. I was telling you all about the cookie poll earlier. There's a bakery in the Philadelphia area that delivers cookies all over the country, all different states, so it's not just local. And they sold over 40,000 cookies for Donald Trump and only 2,500 for Kamala Harris.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about enthusiasm, momentum.
I believe this more than the polls.
Right. The thing, I tweeted about it yesterday, early this morning. The Democrats fed us a lie that Kamala Harris was the greatest thing since sliced bread, to use a quote my mom would always say. She wasn't. There were no vibes.
Right.
There were no vibes. The enthusiasm was fake. It was all a hoax. There was no enthusiasm behind her campaign. They would stack these rallies with diehard Democrats that didn't represent the electorate in the state. They told us that she was running away with it, that she was this new wave, that she was going to turn the page on the darkness of Donald Trump. The American people didn't buy it. How are you going to tell us you're going to turn the page when you're literally the author? And they took the American people for fools.
Yep.
They took us for fools. That we're somehow going to ignore the fact that she's been vice president for the United States. And then they try to cheapen the role of vice president. Oh, well, vice president, you really don't do anything. You're just there. You're a figurehead. No, you were the border czar and you did nothing to secure the border. You stood there on every major consequential decision, like the Afghanistan withdrawal, and guess what? You were proud of it. So the American people are way smarter. The media and the Democrats underestimated them, and here they are today. They said, you didn't listen to us. We told you we weren't happy with the situation. You underestimated us. You took us for fools. And guess what? Egg on their face today. Everyone that's around us. It's true.
Kamala Harris did not get any votes in the primaries. They voted for Joseph Biden to get back on the ballot. And of course, we all know what happened with that.
Yeah.
So she had no popularity or enthusiasm from the very beginning. And then as her rallies were going on and going on TV and whatever, there was very fabricated enthusiasm because it wasn't real. It was like an illusion.
Yeah.
It was an illusion of excitement for the campaign, and it didn't translate. It didn't translate to votes. We're seeing that right now. The American people have spoken. They don't exactly tell the pollsters what they actually voted, who they voted for. I talked to a lot of people that said, I'm silently voting for Trump.
Yeah.
I've talked to a lot of people that say, I don't even care anymore. I'm being vocal about my support for Trump. But a lot of people are very silent. So there still is that silent majority aspect that we've had since the 2016 election, but a lot more people have stood up and been vocal as well. But it goes to show that these pollsters are somehow cherry picking data, they're manipulating and twisting things, and you look back in the 2016 election, they gave Donald Trump a very slim chance of winning the presidency, and then we all know what happened that night. One of the best nights of my life. It was amazing. I loved it because I was laughed at, yelled at, bullied, and I still have been.
Oh my God, I completely forgot about the View.
Yep, so everyone was laughing, and then of course when we won, I was like, I told you.
Yeah.
I knew it. I knew from the bottom of my soul that Trump was gonna win. And here we are again in
It's such a
2024.
bubble, it's ridiculous. You know, I'm thinking about it, it's kind of all settling in, right? I was at the White House during 2020, we thought we were gonna win. Then whatever happened, happened. But it seems like Kamala Harris's campaign took the 2016 playbook and the 2020 playbook, and they took every do not do again page from the book and threw out all the rest. They did every major mistake that was committed in 2016 and 2020 by calling half the country garbage or deplorables, telling the American people that their problems don't exist, hiding Kamala Harris and thinking that that was a good strategy. She didn't do a single media interview for like 78 days. And then they realized, wait, the American people don't know who this person is. Let's just load her up with media. Then they load her up with media, and she literally fumbled the bag on every single major interview. CBS 60 Minutes literally had to like lie on her behalf and selectively edit her. And then Joe Rogan goes, hey, come out to Austin. I'll give you 3 hours like I gave you Donald Trump. She goes, not doing that. I'm going to do SNL instead. Completely fumbled the bag.
Right?
She has herself to blame. Her team has themselves to blame. And they also have the media to blame because they relied on the media to carry the water. And they didn't realize that the American people just aren't buying it anymore. They're just not.
Exactly. That's a great point about how they're using the same playbook from Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
And then the Joe Biden, that campaign was crazy. And then they're just using the same things with Kamala Harris, and they
Right.
thought it was going to translate. I really think that they just take the American voter for granted, and they think, oh, we have this in the bag no matter what. They don't feel like they have to earn American
You're out of touch.
very out of touch. Such a great point.
Yeah.
And I want to give a huge thank you to our friends over at Tax Network USA. So the October 15th deadline has passed. Are you prepared for what's coming? Do you owe back taxes? Are your tax returns still unfiled? Missed the deadline to file for an extension? Now that October 15th is behind us, the IRS may be ramping up enforcement. You could face wage garnishments, frozen bank accounts, or even property seizures if you haven't taken action yet. But there's still hope. Tax Network USA has helped taxpayers save over $1 billion in tax debt and has filed over 10,000 tax returns. They specialize in helping people like you reduce their tax burdens, and they can help you too. Don't wait any longer. Visit the website tnusa.com/RSBN or call the phone number 1-800-357-1415 for a free consultation. And their experts will walk you through a few simple questions to see how much you can save. Act now before the IRS takes more aggressive steps. Take control today. Visit tnusa.com/RSBN or call 1-800-357-1415.
Yeah, and good news, tax relief is coming. Donald Trump is going to lower the taxes again, the corporate tax, the middle income taxes. Your taxes are going to go down again. Tax Cuts and Jobs Act would have failed if Kamala Harris and the Senate won. That didn't happen. So your taxes are going to be low again because that's part of the platform for Donald Trump and JD Vance.
Exactly. And I want to address some of these swing states from elections past.
We have a guest that may want to come on.
We do.
Right next to us. You guys ready?
Hey there.
So you all know this gentleman. I see he's drinking hot tea. He's drinking hot tea right now. They just hyped it up for Georgia. The man, he doesn't need a record. You know him by his voice. I saw you drinking hot tea. It looked like
Georgia.
Georgia's on his mind. It's called. How do you feel?
I'm feeling fantastic.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
This is the energy we need. So you're obviously going to be on the stage in a matter of, who knows?
Right after this, I'm going backstage and getting ready to perform for President Trump and for the entire country.
what's on the playlist? What's being sung?
I'm not
tonight?
at liberty to say, and
Okay.
what that really means in Trump world is that whatever inspires the president in the moment, and he wants to share with the whole country and the whole world, then that's what I'll be prepared to sing, whatever that is.
You know what I love is that the Democrats rode out the red carpet for
Yeah,
Lady
it's
Gaga,
okay.
Lizzo, and then they find someone like you, true talent, that doesn't have to do all the extra. You come in here with a tuxedo, and you use your voice as the instrument.
Yes.
And you touch on religious songs, Ave Maria, Hallelujah, and just the majesty.
Shoot, I thought they were going to call another state for Trump. Yeah. Well, Georgia has been called for Trump, so he's at 246. But they have not updated on the computer just yet. But anyway, still got Pennsylvania, but he is still ahead. 19 electoral college, put him 264. All he has to do, win Michigan, and that does it. He's president again. So that'd be pretty cool, guys. Hey, to those in the chat, who are you going for? Because my vote was for Trump and Vance and Ted Cruz. And yeah, pretty much. The total amount of votes for President Trump, or should I say, well, he ain't president just yet, but he will be at some point. Donald Trump, 63,861,574. Pretty cool, right? They have not called Pennsylvania just yet. You know, see if he wins Pennsylvania. He'll be at 264, I think. He's at 246 right now. If he wins Michigan, see, Pennsylvania, if he wins that, he'll be at 264. If he wins Michigan, can't even talk tonight, but if he wins Michigan, that does it. He's at 271, and that gets him across to the finish line. So we probably won't need Alaska. Alaska will go for Trump, as it always did, because it's a Republican state. Let's see, Nevada, still nothing on that state as of yet. But they're still counting the votes for Minnesota and Maine. But evidently, Wisconsin, 51% of the vote for Trump. Michigan is at 15. The swing state, Pennsylvania, is at 87, so they're almost done on that one. Georgia was called. Trump has won this one. Atlanta is definitely Democrat run. Augusta, Savannah, Macon, you know, all these places. But yeah, we got a lot of red going to the great state of Georgia. And so far, they have called Georgia for President Trump. Oh, something's going on. Let's go back to the thing.
Show you what he can do to take this election at this point. So you can tell here, this is 2:30. That's the electoral vote count that we're currently watching from the AP. However, you see there on your screen, RSBN has called Georgia for President Trump. That brings that total from 2:30 to 246. So I'm really watching Pennsylvania because obviously these eastern states have been counting the votes. And this is where we're going to get our next answers. Pennsylvania continues to look good. That's where we have 19 electoral votes, all expected to go to President Donald J. Trump, where he is holding steady with 50.9% to 48.1%, with 87% of the votes now counted. So if he has that additional Pennsylvania, if he gets those electoral votes, that brings the total then to 265. After that, he only has to take one of 3 states in order to win. If he takes Michigan's 10, that pushes him to 275. Wisconsin's 10 pushes him to 275. Or he could just take Nevada, which we're still waiting on a vote count from Nevada, but with the 6 there, that would put him at 271. So the odds are really looking good for President Donald J. Trump at this point. We're excited, we're hopeful, and we're getting closer and closer to seeing the benefits of the hard work. This is a man who has done nonstop rallies. I don't think he took a day off for the last 35 days. And you can see what happens when his message was able to get out loud and clear. He walked the vote. He made sure it was too big to rig. And at this point, it does look very likely like he's going to win the election. If you take a look at some of the headlines that are coming across the board from the opposition on the mainstream media side, like MSNBC, you can tell that they're very scared at this point, because when they see a map like this and then they do the math, it starts to look more and more likely like Donald J. Trump is going to win the whole thing. And he's pulling up the congressional races with him. We take a look at the Senate map now, even more red here, to talk about. We know that Marsha Blackburn was the big winner in Tennessee, in Texas. It's been called now for Ted Cruz. We're looking better and better up in Wisconsin. I want to show you where we stand right now for Mike Rogers, as well as Eric Hovde. He's at 50% of the vote. That's Eric Hovde in Wisconsin. In Michigan, Mike Rogers is at 50% of the vote, with 56 now counted, so they're looking good. In the state of Pennsylvania, we're watching Bob Casey versus Dave McCormick. Dave McCormick at 49% of the vote. So President Trump, as we've all seen, is the tide that raises all boats. And I want to push it further down now and show you what's happening in the House. And there's some fantastic news to report. Look at California. Look at all the red that we're watching right now in California as they're still counting the votes. This is a lot of red for California. You see Kern County, which is notoriously, it's very well known as being a Republican area. Vince Vaughn won by 67% to 32%. That's basically the only House race that's been called in California right now, but these numbers are slowly but surely coming in. When it comes to Arizona, Paul Gosar is victorious. We love Paul Gosar, so we're really happy to see that. I want to take you a little bit further now to the north and show you what's happening in Wisconsin. Tom Tiffany, who we also love from the state of Wisconsin. He was definitely very active at President Trump's campaign in his rallying, and we're looking really good. Gentlemen, I'm going to send it back to you on the desk, but as we continue on, this journey just looks brighter and brighter for our victorious President Donald J. Trump.
We are back live in West Palm Beach, Harrison Field, and Megan Fuller.
Well, I gotta say, guys, this has been a long broadcast thus far today. We've actually did 1 2-hour. We've done this one for a good 2 hours, near its 3-hour mark, as we're still waiting for Georgia and Pennsylvania to get called for Trump. Yeah, so if he wins at least 3 more states shaded in the light red areas, that'll do her. He's president. Well, he'll be called the president-elect. So, yeah, pretty much. Georgia is almost done. So that'd be 16 electoral votes. That would put him 246. So So pretty much we'll look at Pennsylvania, look at the votes right there, see Pittsburgh, and yeah, Philadelphia is the border of New Jersey, Allentown. I mean, a lot of states, a lot of Democrat-run cities that would vote for Kamala. But anyway, this is pretty much what we see right there. Yeah. So far, we just continue to play the waiting game here as we go through almost a day after the election, which they have not called this one just yet, but Trump is ahead. He is ahead by a bunch, 64,350,000 votes. That's pretty good. Shoot, I think these two live streams will definitely go into a new series. And yeah, maybe one of these days, if I ever have kids, I'd say, hey, you guys want to see something cool? See this guy like Trump just take a massive win, and you see him just beating the dirt out of the old rug and stuff. It's really good. We look at it. He has went to all these states. He campaigned tirelessly. And, yep, we are now seeing a revival unfold before our very eyes. But, yep, I think we're 64 million. So it is still going pretty good in favor of Trump. He's got 5 states. He has to win 3 to win it. So Georgia is, well, I would say it hasn't been called yet. If it was called, you'd see that big red check mark right next to it, but evidently it has not been called for Trump just yet. But Right Side Broadcasting has called it for Trump, but evidently they're still counting the ballots out there in the swing state, Georgia. But hopefully you guys are having a good time with us here tonight. We're going to stay on the air until we hit the 270 for Trump, and would say that a big revival is headed our way, guys. Just hang in there. Keep the faith and put God first, that Trump will win Georgia, Pennsylvania, and hopefully Michigan or Wisconsin. So we look at Wisconsin. He's up a good handful, almost 100,000 right there. That's 10 electoral votes for the Wisconsin state. Michigan is 15. They're 58%. So, yeah, pretty much doing good. Pennsylvania, 10% left reporting of their ballots, which they show Trump is still in the lead. Then we go to Maricopa, right there in Arizona. Trump leading by probably, if I could think of it, it's about maybe a good 15,000 vote lead against Kamala. But we'll say he needs to win at least 3 more, and there we go. So we are going to stay up, stay live. And yeah, we're not going anywhere right now. I know it's my bedtime, 11:54 p.m. and got work in the morning. But hopefully they'll finally call the final 3 states to be his. But yeah, just think about it. The Republican Party will want to see this country just thrive and flourish. And I just think that God has pretty much answered our prayers that we are going to win this thing. And I just thank God every day that He gives us a lot of life that we must live. There is a revival, and it's happened before our very eyes. And my belief is this, that Trump is going to be elected. So you could tell that his numbers are going, still counting 64,056,000, or should I say, I was looking at that wrong. I do apologize. 64,656,698 for Trump. 59 million, almost 60 million for Harris. They're counting her ballots still. Well, thank you for 5 great likes. We thank y'all for the people in the community chat that has been with us for the last 4 hours. Oh, yep. It's saying on my PlayStation 5 that it's going into rest mode. There we go. Hopefully it won't turn off. Oh, let's see. What's going on in Nevada? All right, they're finally counting the votes. See, Trump in the lead, 71. Pretty much Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, all in favor of Trump. So pretty good right there, guys. Two minutes to midnight. %, Trump in the lead by 100,000 votes in Georgia. That's good. Pennsylvania, he's in 200,000 votes. Swing state. And he's got a 200,000 vote lead in Michigan, which that is also good. About 100,000 votes in Wisconsin. Nevada just started counting their ballots. All right, there we go. Georgia just been called by the press. So Trump now 246. He has to win 2 to claim it. So Pennsylvania is so close. He's got 300,000 votes in the lead. He leads a good margin out there in Pennsylvania. All right, let's see what's going on.
Amazing election tonight with the state of Georgia.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to say to our wonderful RSBN
Yeah,
viewers?
keep the faith though. We're gonna win. We're gonna get. I think the sleeper is gonna be between Wisconsin and Michigan. That might be the sleeper. And if we don't get Virginia this time, I guarantee we're gonna get it next time. We're real close. Governor Youngkin did a great job out there. You saw the polls getting higher and higher for us in Virginia. So there's a lot of good states that you're gonna see. If we don't get it tonight, we're gonna win. First of all, on the next go around, if we keep this momentum up, we're gonna bring more and more to this great big tent called the America First Tent.
Gotta love it. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thanks for
tonight.
having me. I appreciate it. I'm not as good as Harrison, but I can try. I just got to go do. I just got to take a little more online tutorial classes.
I'm in good company tonight. Let's just put it that way.
Well, I'm gonna turn it back over to Brother Harrison.
All right, so we now have Trump at 246, Harris at 210. Georgia called by the press for Trump. That puts 5 states. Pennsylvania looks like they're calling it for Trump, almost. They're still counting their ballots. So a 300,000 vote count for Trump. So if he wins Pennsylvania, that's 19 electoral college votes. That'll put him 264. 264. He could win Arizona or Nevada or these final 2 right here. Michigan or Wisconsin. Ooh, that would be... Yeah, I know. It'd be up almost all night just looking at these numbers coming in. $65 million. Boy, that's a big number, isn't it? Oh, 247. He goes up a little bit. I guess, what did he take? Boy, still hold a 5 million ballot lead on Harris. $247 and 10. 210 for, sorry, 210 to 247. Well, that's a good thing, Mike. Hey, it's like a football game nearly. If one team wins, you know, it's okay. Better luck next time, right? Kind of reminds me of that Yeah, true, honestly. It kind of reminds me of trying to think who had 71-10. What's that football game was pretty good. I think it was University of Texas or Texas A&M. I think it was that. A&M went up against the I think Florida Gators, and they just whooped the hell out of them. You don't really watch football? That's okay. Or baseball. Hey, you get the bases loaded up and all knowingly, somebody hits a grand slammer. Yeah, very impressive. You watch high school football? That's pretty cool. Yeah, I remember watching high school football. Man, my first game back in junior high. I remember my high school, Odessa. Permian just whooped the hell out of them. They were 74-6. And they called the game right at the end of the third quarter. There was basically no fourth quarter. My dad said, well, daggum, that was a whooping of a lifetime. Yeah, it sure was.
It almost seems very clear how we could win. And again, no call yet. Trying to figure that out. If you're watching at home, you're probably wondering why hasn't there been a call yet. Still some outstanding votes in the blue wall states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Hopefully we'll get some fairness soon.
Well, let's see, still 90% in Pennsylvania. I remember last year, Port Charlotte High went against, I think, Northport High, and it was like, ouch, 76-0. Ooh, that's a whooping. Port Charlotte won. Yikes. That was a whooping, man. Yeah, pretty bad, huh? You go to short parlay, so that was okay. That's cool. Oh, man. Oh, goodness. Why is it so long? Well, we're still waiting on these states to be called and stuff. All right, Michael. Thank you. I'll catch you later, man. Yeah, it is a tiring evening. Well, I tell you, it's definitely worth staying up and watching this thing going on. Okay, what's going on here?
About 45 minutes ago at this point, it feels like. So anyway, that's Georgia. We're looking at Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, and Arizona. So those are the swing states. Too early to call, but getting close because those percentages, Bobby, they're in there now. I mean, we're talking upwards of 70, 80% of the votes being counted, right?
And it starts becoming mathematical at a certain point, especially the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. 90% of the votes counted. President Trump with a comfortable lead of 51.2% over the vice president's 47.8%. We're roughly looking at some rough math here, slightly over 200,000 votes in the direction for President Trump. So Pennsylvania drops. It's going to be very hard for her to recover past the Pennsylvania victory.
But what we do know here at Right Side Broadcasting Network is President Trump has not yet been declared the winner yet, the projected winner, the president-elect. Of course, we look forward to something like that. As soon as we get those confirmations and the directives from our ownership, of course, and also AP, we will report as we get actual numbers. And right now, as you guys are about to see with RSBN's Christina Loren, she's going to join us live in that RSBN projection room, showing us the specific numbers for those states that we are laser focused on right now: Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, and Arizona. It does look likely that President Trump will be the 47th president, but we can't confirm that at all right now until we get these numbers confirmed, not only through RSBN, but of course through the Associated Press, as you see there, President Trump winning in Georgia. So let's go now live to Christina Loren, who is live in the projection room. Christina, it's been quite the night. It's 1:12 a.m. Eastern time. Tell us what's going on. What's the latest?
See what's going on here.
Of these races. And
That's better.
To kind of give you an idea of what we're watching incredibly closely for you. So let's get in there and get this taken care of. We are looking at Pennsylvania right now. So Pennsylvania is likely to be the next state that will be called, and 51.2% to 47.8% is where we stand, with 90% of the vote accounted for in Pennsylvania. So if that is the case, that's going to quickly bring that total up to 266. It's only going to require 4 more electoral votes once we get beyond Pennsylvania, which does look very good for our President Trump, but again, we want to be responsible journalists. We don't want to call anything before we know. Although I will say, when we had that projection for Georgia, right on point, RSBN called it early. We have leadership here in the House with us tonight, watching this like a hawk. They made the right call, but only based on factual evidence. All right, let's move you up north now. We're going to talk about Michigan. Michigan, 62%. They are going slow in Michigan tonight. Just 62% of the vote has been tallied up at this point. However, the margin is wide. 52.5% going to Donald J. Trump over 45.8%. So we're talking 42 to 45. That is a significant difference. And we knew that was going to be the case because this is blue collar America. This is the working class that is voting in the state of Michigan. So that doesn't surprise me, although they're taking their sweet time tonight in the state of Michigan. So that likely will not be the next state to come in. We're expecting Pennsylvania. And then after that, I think it's going to be Wisconsin, where President Trump is leading 51.4% to 47.1% in the Badger State. And then, of course, we saw the polls close later in the evening in Arizona and Nevada. Arizona now, 51% of the vote is tallied up. So they're moving faster in Arizona than they are in Michigan. And right now, President Trump is leading by a very slim margin, 50% to 49.2%. In Nevada, this is what's so impressive about Nevada. Finally, we started to get some data, and Nevada is already 75% of the way done. So if we get Pennsylvania and then we get Nevada, we get President Trump. If we get Pennsylvania and then we get Michigan, we're President Trump. Same thing for Wisconsin and Arizona. We just need Pennsylvania, and then we're only going to have to wait for one more state tonight. And we're getting so close. Now, obviously, things could happen. We went to sleep thinking that President Trump was going to win. He didn't win. So we have to make sure in the last election that we don't get ahead of ourselves. And the same thing happened in 2016. The vote looked really good for Hillary Clinton, and then in the wee hours of the night, President Trump won. So anything can happen. We want to make sure that we're cautiously optimistic. But based on everything, if you're looking around on X, if you're reading the New York Times, if you're getting some of these headlines that are coming from MSNBC, it's looking good, guys. It's looking real good. And I think some of us are probably going to cry tonight because this is a blessing and something that we pray for if it does in fact happen.
Well, this is interesting, Christina, because it's almost as if it was announced or predicted. The Maricopa County officials, if we could find more on that, they had said that this might be 10 to 13 days past the election, and Nevada started counting later than Arizona, and they seem to be getting closer to having an outcome. Now, a smaller state, population-wise, but nevertheless, Nevada might be called before Arizona.
You know, it likely will be. And I think when you take a look at some of these congressional races, we are going to possibly have to wait for at least a couple days. But here in the state of Arizona, we are slowly but surely getting there. But take a look at how tight it is. 50% even for President Trump, 49.1% for Kamala Harris. I think a lot of us are feeling a little bit more confident that she's not going to be the commander-in-chief again. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves. It could still be a possibility, but it's something that we've all, especially at this network, we've worked so hard to get the word out about how great President Donald J. Trump is. I know we still don't want to make a call because that's not the right thing to do. We're looking at the podium now. You see that live. That is in West Palm Beach, hoping that he's going to come out and make a victory speech. I've been checking his Truth Social page. He hasn't really said much because, again, he's waiting until he knows for sure that he is going to be returning to the White House. But look at that crowd. That is where we could see a raging celebration before too long. I think maybe in the next hour. Pennsylvania will likely finish up here in the next hour. And then after that, it could be Nevada, it could be Arizona, Wisconsin, or Michigan. We're not going to have to wait until tomorrow. I think we're going to have an answer tonight. We're going to be right here with you every step of the way on RSBN.
23 electoral votes to go for President Trump. All he has to do is win 23 electoral votes. So to your point, the pathway to 270 could be a win with Wisconsin. That's 10, of course. We can go with Pennsylvania, and there it is, right there. So we'll see what happens. We're waiting for the numbers to come in. To your point as well, Harrison was also saying President Trump, I believe, is on his way to West Palm Beach. As you guys see on the bottom right of your screen there, the crowd in anticipation of seeing President Trump. How loud will that environment be, guys? You know, all of the rallies that we covered between us three right here, and then all of our hosts across the network, the energy, the joy, the that's the thing though. This isn't just some fabricated junk. This is the real deal, genuine, authentic thing that we feel in this country for our country. So yeah, tonight's going to be quite awesome. And it'll be cool if we can to go up to Nikki Stanzione in Pennsylvania as well, especially seeing what's going on there. So we're hearing some possible news happening here, and we'll be reporting anything. The New York Times saying that President Trump projected. Okay, we know that RSBN, right here, Right Side Broadcasting Network, projects that President Donald J. Trump has won the swing state of Pennsylvania, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, won by President Donald J. Trump.
Oh yeah.
Electoral votes. When Bobby read about Georgia, I understand where you're coming from now, buddy. Being born in that state, 19 electoral votes, and we are now 4 votes. Is it 4 votes? 2022. 4 votes away, and then President Trump will be back at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, Jesus.
Amen.
Wow. President Donald Trump, there it is, guys. 19 electoral votes. The huge swing state is won by President Donald J. Trump.
Yee-hoo!
Bobby, your thoughts about that huge, huge win, guys. We are literally 4 electoral votes away from the win for the main man himself and the outsider, Donald Trump.
It's a beautiful thing. I think if he wins Nevada, which is now 75% counted, they have 6 electoral votes, but it's those 6 that could carry him over the finish line. Arizona as well. Right now, 52% of the vote is counted there. Wisconsin, they're up to 87%. It could be Wisconsin called next. And then as we know, Michigan is lagging with just 63% of the votes counted. Bobby McNeely, I know I might shed a few tears tonight just because it has been such an emotional journey. I mean, both of us, we just got off the road covering rallies, rally after rally after rally, and cheering President Trump on all the way, letting him know that there is a news outlet out there that believes in him, that believes in America.
It was really those tearful moments at the last rally, the nostalgia, saying goodbye to those wonderful patriots, especially in the Tar Heel state of North Carolina. Right now, I'm feeling a sense of relief as we get closer to potentially it being official and doing it right, and being not only in the forefront of history, having the privilege of announcing Georgia, and my friend here to announce your home state of Pennsylvania, the Commonwealth. It's a really special moment, and this is we're born for such a time as this.
We are, and it's something that we have fought for in this country. And everybody that's watching right now, I don't care if it's 10 people or 10 million or 10,000, whatever the number is, we're all in this together. We've been saying that since day one. All of this coverage, all of these campaign rallies, you know. So this is quite awesome. This is quite awesome.
It truly is. And I just want to remind our viewers at home, we call Pennsylvania. RSBN has, this is data that is provided to us by the Associated Press. They have not yet called Pennsylvania. They likely will be calling Pennsylvania momentarily. And you know, as we get closer and closer to a decision, it looks more and more likely for President Trump. So many of us had our hearts broken last time that I don't think that any of us are actually going to believe it until it happens tonight. I think that we've been so cautious about getting excited, knowing that he's the right choice, knowing that he's been saved by God not once, but twice, and anointed for this very position. But the fact of the matter is, we don't want to have our hearts crushed. The 3 of us as journalists, we basically took ourselves out of the workforce when it comes to going back to the mainstream media. Stand for President Donald J. Trump. You were taking a stand for freedom, and something that's not appreciated by the mainstream media. I think all three of us recognize the fact that it would be very difficult to get a job for one of these legacy networks. Again, putting it all out there for him, you know, at this point, finally, hopefully, seeing a reward, the greatest reward that we could possibly have, and that is a Donald J. Trump presidency. And America is worth fighting for. And I know there's a lot of other journalists who wish that they would have made the same decision as us, especially if we get the outcome that we believe we're going to get in just moments.
Christina, we're seeing at the bottom of our screen right now that we are now calling Alaska for President Donald Trump as well. So, Bobby, that must feel good as well. Bobby, of course, worked in the state of Alaska, so just seeing even that happen must be a nice thing to see.
And the great people up there, you will have more energy jobs, more energy independence, and will help save not only our country, but the American continent with our Canadian friends as well. Even the socialist Justin Trudeau was begging President Biden to not rid us of the Keystone Pipeline. It's coming back. We're going to frack, 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 and drill, baby, drill. And the world will be safer as a result, and we'll have energy independence in our great country. And Christina, to your point as well, with everything that's happened in the last 4 years, my short, I've spoken on it here because of a mandate. And I'd like to thank the great Joe Seals, the Seals family, our great COO, Grace Saldana, for this opportunity to cover the real news and defend this beautiful Declaration of Independence that I'm wearing on this tie right now, because that's what it's all about. This job that we have as journalists, as reporters, as political commentators. This is the only position that's actually outlined in the American Constitution about not only the free ability to assemble, but the freedom of the press and how essential it is to a free and fair society. And we did it right. And this has been a wonderful project over the last decade.
It is so true. It is so true. You know, Christina, we talk about the 20 GOP platform promises with President Trump and the new cabinet that he will be most likely picking, as we have not said that he has won yet, but my oh my, we're getting close. Sealing the border, carrying out the largest deportation operation, ending inflation, making America the dominant energy producer, defending our Constitution, securing the elections. There are so many items that he's going to take care of with a great cabinet, and to be a part of being on the right side of history with Right Side Broadcasting Network. For 9 years, this company has done this, and it's for the freedom of this country. It's for the speech of this country, and it's for we, the people, and that is what is great. And at the end of this broadcast, I'm not going to get there yet. We might have something for you to show you guys at the end here. But Christina, your thoughts right now as we're getting closer. It's not called yet.
I feel like, you know.
All right. We can tell you right now, Christina, that Right Side Broadcasting Network is projecting that Donald J. Trump will become the 47th president of the United States of America. He is now President-elect Donald J. Trump. We can confirm that right now on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Guys, your thoughts?
Yeah.
Is there anything better? I'm sure I'm going to cry, and especially later on tonight in my hotel room. I'm going to bawl because, you know, God was on the ballot. Freedom of religion was on the ballot. And as Christians, all we want to do is to be able to share our faith and share the love of Jesus and help people find God. And to think that what's happening in Israel, to think about these people who need our help right now, and Kamala Harris continued to pump money to Iran, I think that this is a game. The world needs love. Our checkbooks are running dry. People dipping into their savings. You have credit card debt through the roof, record highs. So many people are hurting right now. This is exactly what we need. And so one man leads the movement, but it's God who's in control, and God chose him, and he answered the call, and I believe in him.
Amen.
Amen.
I know we prayed before this broadcast as well, and the country praying, the whole country uniting under someone that is has ran and now will be the president of the United States, the 47th commander-in-chief. As you guys see at the bottom of your screen, an epic headline, an epic lower third, RSBN, Trump wins presidency. Bobby McNeely, your thoughts, sir?
This is only the second time in American history that someone has come back to serve a second non-consecutive term. And President Trump, if you're still in the motorcade heading over to the Palm Beach Convention Center, congratulations, sir. Thank you for having our backs for the last decade. Thank you for stepping up, you and your wonderful family, really leaving a life of luxury in order to serve the American people. And you have been put through the ringer, whether it's fake impeachments or the lawfare, and ultimately taking a bullet for democracy. And God shielded you. You recognize that. It changed the complete outlook of this campaign. And it truly became, as your son Eric said, a cultural movement. This is far beyond politics. It's not right versus left. It's we the people versus a deep state bureaucracy. And in turn, Christina, to your point, the world will be safe once again under the leadership of Donald John Trump.
So many leaders across the world. Think about it, from Hungary's Viktor Orban to the former president of Brazil, Jair Bolsonaro, and others around the world that will celebrate. I believe the free world will celebrate as they hear the news that President Trump is back in office, let alone, obviously, countless millions of Americans. Think about the people right now, guys, right now, wherever people are watching right side, wherever they're hearing this news, the joy, the excitement, maybe even fireworks. I know it's not July 4th, but I'll tell you, there might be some fireworks going on tonight just out of joy for our country. So this is very historic, and we are seeing it. We have a front row seat, and as do you. We, the people that are watching this right now, this is all about us. And this is what President Trump said every time he did one of those speeches. He said, when we win the White House, when we win the White House, and we have won the White House. Thank God in heaven.
Amen.
Think about Kamala Harris and truly what a threat that was to democracy, the very thing that they tried to point at Donald Trump for. We have just been given a clean slate is how I feel. We have been able to turn over a new leaf in this country, whereas we've had leaders who want to spend our money, our taxpayer dollars recklessly, our $35 trillion national debt. Finally, there's a real solution to bring it down. And for our kids, the America that we leave them is going to be in much better hands now, because I think that Donald J. Trump is doing his power to go down as the best president that this country has ever known.
Exactly right. So
Amen.
we see at the bottom right of our screen, Christina, as you can see too, West Palm Beach, Florida. So the Palm Beach Convention Center. And boy, does this make you think, because it's President Trump's podium, but this time it's not a campaign stop. As you see right now, the projected winner, Donald Trump, elected the 47th president. RSBN projects that right now as we get ready to go to Palm Beach, where President Trump, President-elect Donald Trump, will take the podium there. And my, oh my, this is so great because, again, this is not a rally. This is not a campaign stop. This is a speech to the American people. God has protected him. God has been with him and is with this nation. And I believe in great things for the world coming up. All right. Okay, so we are waiting word on President Trump will indeed take the stage there. We'll see that podium there right now. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, we're covering it here live, 1:33 a.m. Eastern time. What a night, guys. We started at 6 p.m. Eastern. We were calling state after state. And then to see that all of these swing states, is it every swing state, right, guys, went for President Trump, right? I think every swing state went to President Trump. All this, that 93 electoral votes that were needed went to Donald Trump. Christina, your thoughts tonight? We were tracking everything when it comes to the numbers. What's it like to look at that map and say, hey, it's all red? A lot of it's red.
I think for the most part, we can definitely count on Wisconsin and Michigan and Pennsylvania has been called a little bit of undecisive feelings right now when it comes to Arizona because it is so close. There's just a very thin margin. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised because it's right on the border. You think about what these people who live in Arizona have had to deal with illegal migrants coming up, bringing in their fentanyl, nobody to stop them. The Border Patrol swamped, just processing people coming in as opposed to trying to keep the bad guys out. The same thing for Nevada, which is a neighboring state here. I think they're both going to go to President Trump. It's just right now, again, the journalist in me thinks it's just a little bit too close to call. But when you look at this map, look at all this red. This is representative of the American people. The American people don't want what the Democrats were forcing on us. They forced that border wide open. They kicked it open. Biden's first day in office, he shut down the Keystone XL pipeline, and he cut off the American dream over time with the Green New Deal, which was under-researched. It was bad policy after bad policy after bad policy, and here we are today. America is hurting. We need a doctor. President Trump is the doctor that we need.
Exactly, and
Yes.
he will fix the broken situation in this country, along with his great cabinet that he will be picking shortly. And then you think about Linda McMahon, others, the President Trump transition team to the White House. I mean, this is all happening before our eyes. Let's see if we can take a live look at West Palm Beach. We're going to be thanking our sponsors here in just a second. But if we could take the Palm Beach there, just to get a feel of the crowd in this great moment in our country. As we do thank the Birch Gold Group, all you do is text Trump to 989898 for more information on Birch Gold. Also, the wellness company, MakeCareGreatAgain.com. Look at that live picture there in West Palm Beach. It's great to see the people there, probably so excited at this point.
And we were there this summer with the Turning Point USA Believer Summit, where we invoked the Lord and his blessing upon this great nation. That was shortly after the assassination attempt, roughly 2 weeks, and then after, of course, the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. This is another location where Turning Point has had many events over the years. Student Action Summit that has helped mobilize Gen Z, and Gen Z is Gen 3. And as we continue to break numbers and demographics, I think they were a significant part of this entire movement. We saw them not only at the rallies, but knocking on doors, making phone calls. Charlie Kirk, the great founder and of that organization, Turning Point PAC and Turning Point Action, really mobilizing young people to get out the vote. And I think of people like Scott Pressler in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, who changed blue counties to red. State College really coming out for President Trump as well. This is an extraordinary moment for American history, and the resilience, the courage, the true masculinity that President Trump has brought to this movement. And you have these extraordinary leaders around him. You think about Elon Musk and RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, Vivek Ramaswamy. This is an American movement. It is we the people versus the globalists. And as I said in Kinston, North Carolina, this globalist agenda is now going into the grave with the Undertaker theme, and nothing could be better.
And working with people like RFK Jr., make America healthy again. When President Trump speaks at the end of these speeches, he's not just saying it for his health. He's saying it because it's going to happen. Make America safe again. Make America secure again. Make America wealthy again. Make America free again. Make America great again. Again. Here we go. It's happening. President Trump is returning to the White House. And we're glad to say that here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, because we love truth and we love common sense and we love common sense leadership. And we like a guy that's an outsider that doesn't need a teleprompter. He doesn't need a teleprompter.
It's a relief. And we also don't need teleprompters here at Right Side Broadcasting.
None of us has been a teleprompter tonight. So, but it's been a lot of repetition and experience to be able to do what we're doing tonight through work on camera, but also here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. So this is quite awesome. We're celebrating a moment with you, the viewer, right now. as you see that live picture in West Palm Beach, Florida, as they await, we hope to see the man himself, President Donald J. Trump. This is great. This is great news. You know, it's bad news that we've had to report, but now there's some good news, some great news that President Trump has returned to the White House, that our country is restored and can be saved through the work that we have a lot of work to do now.
We do, and officially, we can say here, President-elect Donald Trump, number 45 and 47. And we'll throw it to MAGA Megan Kohler and the handsome Harrison Fields as President Trump looks like he'll be presenting to West Palm Beach, Florida.
We are back live in West Palm Beach at the Trump Victory Party. We can finally claim it. President Donald J. Trump has been reelected President of the United States. Incredible. The atmosphere, high five on air.
Amen.
He did it. He did the impossible thing. And here we are. History has been made against all odds. Donald Trump, the MAGA movement has prevailed. I lost my words sometimes. It's absolutely crazy.
Thank you to every single person who supported us at RSBN every step of the way, every rally, every town hall. We've had a blast this entire time. The American people have spoken. This election was way too big to rig. President Trump will be reelected as the 47th President of the United States, and we are so elated. It's hard to describe this feeling right now. I can't wait to see him come out and address the crowd. Everyone's so excited here. CNN ladies by us are not so excited. They're looking a little stressed, but
you know what? You know, we want to be not sore winners, right?
Yeah.
The biggest thing Donald Trump talked about, and a lot of times, is that unity is in our success. And that's all he wants for this country. He's always said he didn't need to do this. He did not. He could have been in San Tropez right now. He could have been right across the island on Palm Beach on some yacht or in his massive estate, counting his money and eating escargot and
hanging out with
hanging out with his family.
his
But he
family.
chose the United States of America and the success of the future of this country, and it's worked again against all odds. He is being reelected the President of the United States, and we can't forget the J.D. Vance, Vice President of the United States from your home state, the great Buckeye state of Ohio. It's incredible. Here we are. Here we are.
They just said we're about to explode at Trump headquarters in West Palm Beach, and that is absolutely right. It is electric in here. Donald Trump has never stopped working for the American people. As long as he was campaigning for 2016 in office, of course, during the 2020 until 2024, those years, President Trump was working overtime, and of course now getting elected as 47th president. We're so excited to see President Trump. He had attacks on his business, his life. He had felonies, paraded in the courts. Against all odds, this man has been through the ringer, but he never gave up. He never backed down, and he is fighting for the United States of America as our next president.
Right. And you can hear the crowd behind us. The word is out. He's been reelected President of the United States. The Trump War Room came out, claimed victory. RSBN claimed victory. Everyone here knows it. Donald Trump will be the President of the United States on January 20th. He is now the President-elect Donald J. Trump. And I got to tell you, I don't think he's going to go to bed tonight. He and his team are going to be getting ready to work. The transition team is going to be mobilized and ready to go. They're going to go step by step to prepare this next White House. And they've learned a lot from the first time around. They know how to operate the White House. They know how to operate Washington, D.C. You also got to talk about the Senate. You've been doing amazing work tracking the Senate. The Senate's already in Republican control. I'm not sure about the House yet. Too close to call when it comes to the House. We are very, very close to having the Trinity, the Senate and the White House in just a matter of moments here. And the American people, not just Republicans. He didn't just win over Republicans. He won over disgruntled Democrats who are frustrated with their party. He won over independents and non-party affiliated people. He won over black voters. He won over Hispanic voters. He won over Jewish voters. He won over young people. He built a coalition of support that the Republican Party hasn't seen in generations. And I heard great pundits on Fox News who said, this is a realignment of the Republican Party. Gone are the days of the Cheney Republican Party, the Adam Kinzinger Republican Party. It is officially Donald Trump's party. It's the party of winners and not losers. And here we are celebrating an historic evening here in West Palm Beach, Florida.
Donald J. Trump projected to be our 47th president, going over the 270 electoral vote threshold in the 2024 election. It's a beautiful thing to see. We're so excited to witness this and bring you that feeling that we have in this room right now, bringing that feeling home to you on your TVs. So thank you for watching. Thank you for all your support. This is a truly incredible moment to be a part of. And I feel so blessed to be here, to be part of this movement, the Make America Great Again movement, a cultural shift for the United States of America.
Massive shift. It's a realignment, but it's really a reckoning. You know, the American people for the last 50 years have been telling the political class, the media class, that, hey, we feel like second-class citizens in our own country. You aren't listening to us. You're belittling our concerns when it comes to the border, the economy. You're not hearing us about the funding of Ukraine and all these foreign wars. We want peace all over the world. They ignored the American people. They try to gaslight them at every single turn. You saw what they did, gaslighting Puerto Ricans to think that Trump said something he never said. Those words never came out of his mouth. Puerto Ricans came to the polls in Pennsylvania, here in Miami-Dade, in Florida. Hispanic communities answered the call. They said enough is enough. They cared more about their lifestyle, their well-being, than rhetoric, narratives, and they shocked the media again. My question is, will the American media, really the international media, will they learn their lesson from the mistakes of the last 4 years? They gaslit the American people. They divided this country. They've lied about President Trump. They distorted his words. They peddled hoax after hoax after hoax. And guess what? It didn't work for a second.
I think that they better take note that their radical, insane agenda that they're trying to shove down the American people's throats was not taken well.
No.
The American people don't want a fundamental transformation of this country.
No.
We love this country. We can tweak it here and there, but we want to make it greater. We want to take it to new heights. President Trump said we're going to win so big, we're going to get tired of winning. I remember in 2016, he said, you're going to get tired of winning. And now with the Make America Great Again movement, for MAGA 2.0, as I like to call it, with this rock star team, along with President Trump, RFK, we love Kennedy, Tulsi Gabbard, Elon Musk. It's just amazing to see what these people are going to accomplish for you, the American people, when they're back in office.
Yeah, and kudos to the Trump campaign, Susie Wiles, Chris LaCivita, Corey Lewandowski, Alex Bruce.
Well, I gotta say, it's been a glorious night for us, guys. It is a victory. We are back. The liberation is underway. And we are just so gosh darn happy. So it's a pretty good night. Trump wins it. And so far, we've had a pretty good time just coming at you live here on Jay Baker Vlogs. And yeah, we're doing pretty good. But they haven't called great state of Pennsylvania just yet. It is probably about ready to call. Alaska may be getting ready to call. So if Pennsylvania gets called, Alaska gets called, there you go. 270 is Trump is getting in there and winning by a final 270 to 214. America is liberated. And it's just a good feeling when you feel that. When you know that we have a president like Trump who will put this country back on track and that will care and love and make America great again. But yeah, anyway, 67 million votes. Boy, he stood up throughout the whole way of this thing, and it was the greatest thing that all of us saw. But yeah, we say goodbye to all the hurting. It's time for this country to see the full liberation. So, yeah. Now, I'm just coming at you live and stuff. It's a pretty good live stream, I will say. About 3 hours. Well, I think 8 hours, I would say, on that. Sorry if I got the light out, but there you go. Now you see me. Well, we've had a pretty good night thus far, as Trump is now a president-elect. And yeah, it's been really good. Well, he wins it final 270 against Kamala Harris 214. So yeah, full liberation, about ready to go. Well, you guys, have a good night. I got to get off to bed. Get a few hours before I have to get up and go to work in the morning. But anyway, you guys have a good night, and let's enjoy this victory together. Oh. So, anyway, have a good night, guys.